It's time to turn up the volume. The Dagoth Ur podcast is on the air. Yeah, the Dagoth Ur podcast is starting in a minute. I see the boys getting everything ready for the show. Our surprise guest will be here soon.
I mean, it's not really a surprise. His name is in the title.
Shut up. Just a minute and we will have the green lights on. Be right back. Let's say there is a fiery but peaceful protest in your town.
Hey, dear sir, would you lend me your bike, please?
No. Your friendly neighborhood homeless guy goes crazy. Your granny brings home a nuclear warhead from the park.
Look, Jimmy, what an interesting device I have found.
And it turns out that there is a secret tunnel system beneath your favorite pizza place.
Where do these tunnels lead to?
Hey, little girl.
None of these matter if you can listen to the Dagoth Ur podcast. It's just too good. And we are back with the boys sitting at the table.
The green lights are on.
We have received the green lights.
Are you ready?
For what?
We are live.
Oh, okay. Can we do it together?
What do you want to do?
The countdown intro.
Yes, but pay attention.
Yeah, okay.
Now, one, two, three. Boom!
Boom!
Joe Rogan,
Hey, man.
I welcome you to this podcast where destiny is made.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here.
Of course, it's my podcast.
All right? I'm sure you already know that I've read your Red Scrolls and...
You read?
Yeah, I can read. Is it really that?
No, I could tell that you have the ability and acquired the skill, but didn't expect you to actually read anything.
I do, actually.
Good to hear. I'm glad that your ignorance affects your day-to-day life in a way that it still allows you to reach out for literary masterpieces like my scrolls.
Let's talk about them because some things aren't that clear for me.
My expectations were met.
What do you mean?
Never mind.
Okay, so in these scrolls you write that you see things like events occurring during your dreams.
They are my dreams, and they don't just happen. Azura grants me visions during my slumber.
Are you serious about these things?
Well, it is clear to me that some of the visions I see are only real in my mind, but I am confident in one thing. They are there for a reason.
Which means that these red scrolls are filled with bullshit you dreamt about.
No, they have meaning.
You know, there were these guys talking with Tucker on his podcast.
What guys?
Well, their names were like Vivek and Almexia.
Cursed false gods of the tribunal.
So they were talking about how you never bring up any proof to back up your claims against them, and brought up some examples regarding this mental disorder you might have with delusion and paranoia.
Joe,
and,
they are not to be trusted.
All right, but what I wanted to tell you is they also talked about how you should not to be trusted because of your delusion.
And I have just told you that they are not to be trusted.
And they told him, after calling you a conspiracy theorist too, because you said multiple times that Dwemer oil doesn't melt enchanted steel beams.
Yes.
So what do you think about it now?
About what?
Does Dwemer oil melt enchanted steel beams?
No, Dwemer oil does not melt enchanted steel beams. Period. No further discussion needed.
I mean, we are here to discuss all of this.
I know, Joe.
What makes you think that the heat of burning Dwemer oil does not melt the enchanted steel beams?
Just look at the Excel sheet I sent you.
Jamie, pull up the Excel sheet Dagoth sent us. It's that CSV file.
It's called melting_points.csv. It's right there.
Wow. All the metals are listed here with different flammable substances. Heat produced over time, heat transfer time, heat dissipation over distance. You made some research, man.
Yes, you can see that the enchanted steel is next to Dwemer metal. At the right, which means it takes more to melt down enchanted steel.
Yeah.
So if burning Dwemer oil melts enchanted steel, it melts Dwemer too. Now imagine what would happen with all the Animunculi that need it in order to function.
But the Dwemer automatones, or at least the spiders, have the oil in a separate isolated chamber where it gets heated,
Joe,
and the oil is
I know
not
all of
burning
this.
inside of them. It just gets hot enough to create steam.
I know how the Animunculi work, and yes, the oil is in an isolated chamber inside of them.
And we know Dwemer automatons are still somewhat susceptible to fire damage.
They can be weakened and even destroyed by fire spells. But that's destruction magic, not burning oil.
So you are telling me that Dwemer oil doesn't burn hot enough to melt Dwemer metal and enchanted steel beams?
Exactly. If you scroll down in that Excel sheet to row 47, you can see the heat produced over time by the burning substance.
This is crazy. You know what? You should format it and put all the data on charts too, because it's easier to display stuff that way.
I'm not going to. You can read it. My point is right there. You can't melt those enchanted steel beams that way.
What about the not enchanted ones?
What do you mean by saying not enchanted ones?
The steel beams without enchantment.
Well, I see that barely anyone knows about this, so let me make it clear for you. Those 2 Imperial towers were built in a way that they're supposed to withstand the eternal winds of oblivion. All the steel beams in the structures were enchanted by the scholars.
Yeah, but maybe the enchantment just didn't work. The scholars are not perfect. They can make mistakes.
I know. It's not that the Enwas don't make mistakes. They do. In fact, I think that they were a mistake. That should be.
What do you mean?
It's not that I'm looking down on them or something, but they are a mess.
Okay, but what about the scholars?
Sometimes I consider them worthy opponents, maybe.
Which means that there is little chance that they messed it up.
You can enchant steel as an apprentice Argonian. Come on!
So what happened there? If it was not the enchanted steel beams getting weaker because of the heat, what caused the collapse?
Before the 2 Dwemer constructs flew into the towers, there were renovations in the buildings which were carried out by the Altmer.
The Altmer, you mean?
High elves.
Yeah, I've already heard about that, but I don't think they would just let in some saboteurs. Their work was definitely being overseen by someone.
The Imperial legislature and supervisory body is mainly in the hands of the Altmer, if not entirely. They can do whatever they want.
Isn't that a little bit over the top? I mean, they say that those flying Dwemer constructs were somehow controlled by Khajiit, and they were...
And who says that exactly?
The scholars.
But look...
I mean, you said that you consider some of them worthy opponents.
Yes, maybe. But I think they spend too much time pondering their orbs.
Pondering their orbs?
Yes, and it's a bad influence on them. It's Altmeric.
So let's say that the enchantment worked and the ones carrying out the renovations weakened the enchantment or the structure. Who controlled the Dwemer constructs?
They were not Khajiit.
Really?
No.
But why? You don't know who controlled them.
And they didn't see them either. Maybe those constructs were empty and controlled from afar.
Well, maybe you have a point. But why would they say it were the Khajiit? I mean, they aren't even that bad.
You don't see it then. The Khajiit will not let the Altmer buy up all their land and resources.
So it goes deeper than people might think it actually does.
Obviously.
However, I also noticed that you're always so suspicious when it comes to the High Elves.
Joe, they were the ones dancing when the towers collapsed.
Yeah, they say the guards saw some guys dancing there. They seem to be High Elves.
They were Altmeric. They usually don't act like that, but in this case I kind of understand why they were so delighted.
It's because Cyrodiil is now preparing for war against the Khajiit.
Yes.
They will go in, beat them up, and leave the land and resources for the Altmer.
Exactly.
What does the Nerevarine think about this? Will you bring him on the show next time?
I don't think so.
Why?
He is an Argonian.
What's your problem with Argonians?
I don't have any problems with Argonians, but it will not happen.
Come on, man, give him a chance.
I have got standards.
Standards?
Yes.
Man, he beat your ass up.
What?
He defeated you.
Who?
The Nerevarine.
Nerevar.
Yeah, he defeated you. Why would
Joe,
you?
I'm about to use some very inappropriate language here.
Why?
I am going to break 5 walls with just a few gamer words.
What happened?
I give you 30 seconds to explain yourself and tell me who gave you this idea before I remove the ceiling.
I mean, it's...
1, 2, 3,
I've read it on
4.
Wikipedia.
And have you checked the editor of the article?
I didn't.
Of course you didn't.
Okay, but it's not that important right now, and
It's not that important for you.
I understand that.
It's like most of you don't even think before just do the thing.
Okay,
and
I understand that the Nerevarine did not defeat you.
Of
and
course not.
I know that
Nerevar spends most of his time in some swamp, diving deep in a vast pond of mud and who knows what.
I don't think that we...
He is a lizard. What can a lizard do to a god? Anyways.
So it's no for the Nerevarine.
Never.
Okay. And what about the Dragonborn?
No way.
Why?
Don't even dream about it.
But why?
He is an asshole.
Really?
Yes. He always shouts at everyone.
Oh, come on, man.
No, I'm telling you. A few weeks ago, I was sailing home from vacation and just barely passed Solstheim, yet I was able to understand what he was yelling from the shore.
Maybe he was trying to help out the refugees after the volcano exploded.
What volcano?
The Red Mountain.
The Red Mountain did not explode.
Really?
I've just made it erupt tirelessly.
But why?
I have my reasons and excuses, so...
No, the entire place is in ruins.
No, it's just covered by volcanic ash.
I understand that.
And it
but
was top priority on my to-do list in that month because something had to slow down the Argonian invasion.
Wait, so the invasion happened before the eruption?
Yes.
I think I've read that it happened after the...
That's what your Wikipedia article says, but the flood of Argonians didn't start after the eruption. In fact, it was making good progress way earlier. It's just more apparent now.
And you say that it was the only way to slow down the invasion?
Yes.
To make the volcano erupt tirelessly and cover everything with toxic gas and volcanic ash?
Exactly.
Really?
Yes, I have said that I have my reasons, and
I know,
the
but...
most important one amongst them is the undeniable fact that they didn't listen to me when I offered an actual solution so we could stop the influx of Argonians.
I've never heard about you offering solutions to anyone.
I've had an entire campaign set up and running that involved the Empire too.
Was it like a political campaign or a military one?
No, it was not a military campaign. Or wait, it was a bit militarized, but you know, it's Tamriel.
Can you tell me more about it?
About Tamriel.
No.
Or the militarization.
No, the campaign.
Of course. I came up with this easy-to-remember slogan which clearly stated my goal.
A good slogan.
Yeah, it was. Build the wall, and I think it would be easier for you to understand the campaign if I told you one of my favorite speeches.
Your speech might help me better understand the campaign.
Yes, it's a speech which includes every major point in my campaign, so I don't have to specify them for you.
Sounds great.
So you don't want me to specify them?
No, it's okay if you just tell me the speech with your points.
It includes the points but does not highlight them one by one. You have to pay attention and understand what I say if you want to know the...
Yeah, man, it's okay.
All right, give me a second. When Argonia sends its Argonians, they are not sending their best. They are sending Argonians that have lots of problems, and they are bringing those problems with us. They are bringing skooma. They are bringing Daedra worship. And some, I assume, are good lizards. I have known Argonians. Lots and lots of Argonians. Some of them are hard-working. Maybe. But what we need to do is build a wall around Black Marsh. A big giant wall. And right in the middle of it, we slap a giant big gate where anyone can enter. Legally.
Wow, man, that's...
Wait. I haven't finished yet.
Oh, okay.
And Argonia will pay for it. 100%. They don't know it yet, but they are going to pay for it.
So your points are building a wall around the Argonians and making them pay for it.
Exactly. And you said that I don't have to specify these points, so...
Yeah, I know, and I can understand that uncontrolled groups can cause a lot of trouble, but...
A lot of trouble.
But the experts said that walls cannot stop these kinds of masses from moving through.
Experts?
Yes.
You mean the Altmer?
No, they were Imperials and said all kinds of things about border security.
Imperials?
Yeah.
Are you sure that they were Imperials?
They seem to be Imperials to me.
Did they have long, pointy ears and light grayish golden skin?
Yes.
The Altmer. I knew it.
But how?
Have you ever noticed how they push for open borders for every province except the Somerset Isles? Curious.
I really don't know about that.
Of course you don't. Never mind. And they call themselves experts.
Yeah, and they seem to be professionals.
In what profession?
I'm not sure that we...
Speaking about walls and how people walk around them is not a profession.
No, they were speaking about Argonians, ghost fences or something, and referred to themselves as experts,
So they called themselves experts.
Yeah.
I have my doubts that they were experts in
But
any...
why would you think otherwise? They seem to be experts when...
Joe, I have hundreds of years of experience with the Altmer, and I don't refer to myself as an Altmer expert.
Okay, but...
I also have decades worth of experience with ghost fences, yet I don't set up a sign in front of my estate saying that I'm a ghost fence specialist or anything like that.
How would other people know that you're experienced in these things if you didn't refer to yourself as an expert?
Believe me, when I talk about these topics, everyone present has to realize how competent I am at the given field. Even the weakest ones.
But you were not able to convince them to take action and build the wall.
It's complicated.
How complicated is it?
Very.
But you can tell me we are here to talk about stuff like this.
I know, but it's politics.
And what? It's not that I couldn't understand.
Okay, so first of all, how much do you know about the government of Morrowind?
Before the eruption.
Yes.
Well, there were these great houses which worked like parties. They controlled the province, and there was
See, this is the reason why I didn't want to get down to politics.
Why?
The great houses were not in full control.
Really?
No. And you have no idea how bad things really were. I mean, they are still really bad, but...
Okay, but you can just tell me what went wrong.
The King of Morrowind was appointed by the Emperor.
Yes.
The person holding this office was also a member of the Elder Council of the Empire of Tamriel.
I don't get it.
Really?
What's wrong with the Emperor appointing a king to your...
Joe, if you really don't see the problem here, I cannot help you understand.
Wait, so it's about the Imperials telling you who rules your land, and...
The King of Morrowind was also a member of the Elder Council.
Yes.
And what everyone should know about the members of the Elder Council is that they hold dual citizenship in their homeland and the Somerset Isles.
Right, but how did it affect your region?
It's supposed to be clear at this point, but okay. The king only executed orders. He was not there to defend the province, let alone build back better.
So that's why they refused your wall solution.
Yes. It took me a few weeks to realize that the Imperials were more interested in extending their war on Moonsugar than...
Extending their war on Moonsugar.
Yeah, but I knew the real reason behind it.
Was there like a secret goal or something?
Yes. Azura revealed it to me in a dream.
I'm not sure the dreams are...
You don't have to be sure. I'm telling you the story and you listen.
Okay.
It's not even that hard to understand. What they wanted is the Argonians invade us and bring in the skooma. The skooma appears in the streets. They say that moon sugar is used to create skooma, so there must be moon sugar somewhere. They send in the legions to investigate while calling the region disaffected country and...
Which means that they would have been the peacekeepers there.
Peacekeepers, my ass. If I hadn't caused some trouble back then, we would suffer under the occupation of the Imperials today. And I haven't even mentioned the Altmer who were...
No, you have mentioned them plenty of times already.
Good.
But I still don't get it, though.
Why?
It's like if you already rule a country by just appointing its leader and telling him what to do, you don't waste a lot of money and resources on occupying it militarily. It's just...
You are not wrong there, but I think I know the exact reason why the Imperials and mostly the Altmer worked so much on this plan so they could.
So they've had an actual reason to occupy you with the army.
Maybe I was too loud when I said that I will never accept the Aldmeri Dominion as a legitimate state, nor will I ever consider Alinor as a sovereign government of the Somerset Isles.
I mean, that's a very rude thing to say.
It is also a very honest thing to say.
You basically said that their country is not a real state.
No, not basically. I have literally and clearly, word for word, stated that I do not consider Alinor to be real, and I meant it. There's no need for summarization when
Okay, but things like this usually end up in war. People hate it.
That's why I have said that I might know the exact reason.
Yeah, but to me it seems that you literally can't say anything that is not offensive to the people around you.
It's called free speech.
No, it's more like you say or do things because you want to offend someone every other week.
If it was that common, it wouldn't be hard for you to bring up any other case that might support your claim.
There was
a recent case, of course.
The last time you did it, I think it was related to some bullies who beat up a girl in school.
Really?
You couldn't stop talking about how the victim should be blamed for what happened.
What are you talking about?
There was this case in a magical college where some students beat up a girl who came from an important family. They were talking about it all day, and I was so surprised listening to your comments on the attack.
What comments are you talking about?
You know, the ones that you made after those girls jumped at the daughter of some high-ranking Imperial dude.
When the daughter of an Imperial magistrate was beaten up at the College of Winterhold? You meant that case?
Yes.
Or what?
Yeah, but I don't think there were many cases like that recently anyways.
I would argue that.
Well,
you just don't hear about them.
Oh, okay. Maybe some viewers don't know what we're talking about here, so let's provide some context first. A few months ago, this Imperial girl wanted to try her luck with magic. She asked her father to use his connections and get her a place at the Arcane University, which is in the Imperial City, but she was sent to the College of Winterhold instead.
Big mistake.
On the second week of her first semester, or whatever they call it.
Quarter. They have a quarter system there, not a semester system. It's because of the lack of funding.
All right, so on the second week of her first quarter, she was walking towards her room. At the end of the hallway, she was jumped by some Redguard girls who started beating the shit out of her until a lecturer came and stopped them.
Yes.
Also, it took them 2 weeks to notify her father about what happened to her.
I am not surprised.
Really?
There were so many problems there, I'm not even bothered to list them. Let me just bring up 2 major points. First, you don't try your luck with magic. You either do it or not. Second, she should have paid more attention to her surroundings.
Maybe, but you certainly didn't say it this way after the attack.
Well,
You said that she got beaten up there because she was too relaxed.
Indeed, she was too relaxed, but that's not how I said it.
So you really think that it was her bad because she didn't pay attention to her surroundings and didn't notice those girls waiting for her?
Not just that.
How could she have known that those girls were planning this?
No, I explicitly said that she was obviously too relaxed around Redguards. She should have paid more attention to her surroundings, who she befriended and such.
But you still say that it was her bad.
Well, technically those girls were just the toll collectors. I'm not even kidding, they were.
The toll collectors.
Yes, they collected the toll.
I'm not sure that I want to know.
Maybe you don't, but I'm telling you anyways. Take it with a pinch of void salt, though. There are so many gossips spreading in that shit underfunded college. It's hard to find out what actually happened.
But that's what I meant. It might be bullshit.
Not necessarily. Just to provide more context on this. Have you heard about the Eye of Magnus incident?
Was it related to the storm which happened?
That's a completely different case. Just so you know, after the Eye of Magnus incident, the council cut the funding of the College of Winterhold.
I don't remember. How bad was it?
Simply put, the Anwas from the college found the Eye of Magnus under Sweetroll, and, as you would have expected from those self-appointed experimenters and researchers, instead of sending word of this fantastic discovery to the council, they started to mess with it.
What did they do?
They were using it to project Argonian porn over the college for 2 days straight.
Argonian porn for 2 whole days?
Yes.
Dude, I can't even imagine, what type of porn was that?
I don't want to know.
Maybe we should look it up. If it was actual hardcore or just some teasing like the lusty Argonian maid.
Could you stop it with the Argonian porn?
Why? It's just curiosity, man.
Okay, look. This is where I draw the line. We either stop here with the Argonian porn or move forward with the actual stuff I wanted to tell you.
Let's move on. No wonder the council cut their funding.
Yes, you can imagine the Mage Guild's reaction too when they heard about it. I mean, there is a reason why that college went to shit in the last few decades, and the deterioration didn't start because of the missing funds or anything like that.
Wait a second. So it's not a classy college where magistrates send their children to?
No.
Why did he send her there?
How would I know? Maybe he is retarded or something.
So basically you suggest that all of this happened to her because she befriended some folks that she was not supposed to.
It happened because the girl was sent there and she started her week on Redguard boys.
On Redguard boys? What do you mean?
The other girls were jealous of her because she was the empress of her college.
But why? What does that mean?
Joe, this will be on YouTube. I can't explain to you what she did with those boys. She is barely legal anyways.
Did the father say anything about this?
They usually don't let them talk openly when it comes to Altmer and Redguard crimes committed against Nords or Imperials. I have to tell you that I am surprised word of this spread so fast.
Don't tell me that he is not bringing this case to court to defend her daughter or clear his name.
No, he is not going to. The magistrate is an Imperial like the daughter.
Because they are Imperials?
Yes.
That doesn't tell me anything.
I mean, look, I can tell you the reason of this in a more descriptive way, but if my comment surprised you, this is gonna fuck you up.
It's all right.
Are you sure about this?
Yeah, just let it out, man.
The mongrel dogs of the Empire centered their culture around Redguards. They have holidays for Redguards. They killed hundreds of thousands of Imperials to free Redguards. They listen to Redguard music. They elect Redguards as their representatives. They dress and act like Redguards. They draw the entirety of their modern culture from Redguards. They write sassy books about Redguards. They watch ball games in worship of Redguards. Their greatest event of the year involves throwing parties in honor of Redguards playing sports. They use Redguard slang like Tobra and Abba. When you say Stros Mackay, they're not thinking of Tiber Septim and his conquest. They're thinking of the usurper Redguard called Cyrus the Restless. Their cities are completely overrun with Redguards. They worship their Imperial garrison forces disproportionately filled with Redguards and their Imperial legions also filled with Redguards. Their men sit around watching Redguard ball while their women sit around watching Redguard talk. They worship Redguards like Michaela Leakey and Maria and Lord Kane, who is now a skeleton by the way, while attacking the Imperials who actually built their country before Redguards took over. Their shows are filled with Redguards and their music charts are topped by Redguards. They send Redguards to competitions and celebrate when the Redguards win because those Redguards are true red-blooded Imperial Redguards. They watch Redguards having sex to a point where BRC does not make them think of the Banish the Reptilians from Cyrodiil movement, but about big Redguard cocks instead. They will tell you how much they hate Redguards and how the Mutt's Law meme is a stale joke and they are just pretending to love Redguards, but the evidence speaks for itself in that the Empire has always been and will be a nation of Redguard-loving Redguards.
Oh, man, that was tough. I have never heard you rant like this before.
And I'm not even in the middle of it. I could go on like this for an hour.
Wait, please just stop. I understand your concerns regarding the state of the Empire,
No,
but...
it's actually none of my business, and I don't care about the Empire. You brought up that the Imperials don't take action, and let's say, at least clear their names in court.
You are right. Where were we? Oh, yeah. You explicitly said that she was too relaxed around Redguards.
Yes.
And when they asked you if you have any problems with Redguards, you said that you don't have any problems with Redguards at all.
Exactly. I don't have any problems with Redguards.
And after that, they also questioned your beliefs regarding Redguards committing crimes, and you told them that you don't have beliefs. You only have data, and then you pulled out some crime statistics.
Yes. And I would not argue with data.
I know.
I did not collect that data.
Yeah, but...
I did not publish that data, and it speaks for itself.
Yes, but they could not understand why you're so one-sided in this case.
What do you mean by saying one-sided? I am not siding with anyone.
Well, we all know that you are very outspoken.
Of course I can say whatever I want. I'm a god.
We all know that.
And the Imperial Bureau of Investigation publishes its crime statistics report every year.
I know. Sometimes I look up some pages. It's interesting.
Have you seen the last report, which still included the tables with the different origins?
You mean Daggerfall and Hammerfell?
No, not that one.
Oh, because they changed it, and now they use the region of birth instead of indicating if they were Argonians or Redguards.
Yes. I don't know what the census was a few years ago when they still included the tables in the old way, but I think Redguards made up around 10 to 14% of the Empire's population.
You can check it out. Jamie, look up the census database of the Empire.
It's under the Historical Data tab. Look at the ones which were recorded 4 years ago. I have the crime statistics here with me.
Wait, that's it right there. It's just about 13%.
It seems to be right. Despite making up only 13% of the population, Redguards committed 51.2% of all murder and non-negligent manslaughter in the Empire 4 years ago.
Wow, man, that's a big oof.
42.2% of all prostitution and commercialized vice.
Wait, you're not going to read up the entire report, are you?
I'm doing it right now.
Maybe we
41.8%
Could you stop
weapon
for a
carrying,
second?
possessing.
Man, this is
Embezzlement,
ridiculous.
36.3%.
Could you turn off his mic for a second?
34.9% of all stolen property buying,
Just turn it off.
receiving, or possessing. And look at robberies. 52.7%.
Okay, now you have a few seconds to cool down so
I can just turn it back.
What?
I just turned on the microphone.
Have you finished? I mean...
Yeah, it's fine.
What I wanted to tell is, when you see all the data, you might think that maybe these people who are committing all these crimes, they have no vision of their own future. They have nothing to work for. They might not be able to go to school and have access to the resources and opportunities we have.
Look, Joe.
So, if you had to put it in a sentence,
But I don't have
what
to.
would you do in order to fix this and make things better for, well, everyone?
I am not an advisor of the Imperial Council, and the last guy who advised them was found dead in his jail cell just a few years after his promotion.
Are you afraid of them or something?
Dagoth Ur is not a charitable organization. I am not going to provide them counseling services for free.
So you're not going to answer the question.
No, maybe Crassius Curio would have answered, or at least commented something on it, but you know what they say, dead men tell no tales.
Crassius Curio.
It's Curio. Crassius Curio.
Wasn't he the guy who got caught with some Argonian kids?
Well, that depends. If 10 human years count as 16 reptile years for Argonians, then no. But basically, yes, he got caught with some young Argonians.
So this Curio dude had a lot of dirt on his hands.
Way more than you might think of.
And you said that he was found dead in his jail cell, but others said that he died by his own hands.
Exactly. I said that he was found dead in his jail cell.
But that can mean a lot of things. Why would you say it in a way which might mislead a lot of people?
Because no one saw what happened there.
Are you trying to suggest that maybe someone killed him?
Look, I'm not saying that Crassius Curio did not kill himself, but I do think that Crassius Curio did not kill himself.
But you just said it.
No, I said I think he did not.
What makes you think that someone might have killed this Curio dude?
Curio had a lot of dirt on his hands and a lot of dirt on others too.
So you suggest that he got assassinated there?
I'm not suggesting anything. All I'm saying is that he had a lot of dirt on others and was found dead in his jail cell.
I get it, but you still imply that he was assassinated there
Joe,
because you said that you don't think he ended his own life.
Exactly.
And I don't know why. Why do you think that he didn't end his own life?
Because he was energetic, dashing, and full of life.
So you liked him?
No, I didn't like him. He was so annoying that when we met personally, I almost banished him from this world because of his irritating presence. Oh, and of course he had a lot of dirt on others, as I said earlier. That's what got him killed.
Yeah, you have said it, but how do you know that?
First of all, he was the member of House Hlaalu. How much do you know about House Hlaalu?
It's something about Vivec City.
What about the mines? The ties to the Imperials and the Altmer?
I really don't know, man.
And what do you know about the Goldbeards?
The Goldbeards?
Yes.
I only heard about the Greybeards.
I don't blame you. They conceal their businesses and wrongdoings by using Nord or Imperial names and establishing investment firms, so it is harder for the Enwas to find out who is in control.
They conceal them by establishing investment firms?
Yes. The companies are usually owned by multiple entities as investors. In most cases, when it comes to the Goldbeards and their businesses, it's the organization of investment firms called the Goldbeard Group that owns most of the shares of the companies, and through that makes the decisions.
Wait a second.
Shortly, the group is the majority shareholder, and it is in control of the companies.
And what does this group have to do with Crassius and the house?
It's Crassius
okay.
Curio. And they had a lot of businesses together, actually. Maybe it is easier to explain the whole situation if I start from Vivec City and build up the case towards the Goldbeards.
Fine by me.
All right, then. How often do you check the early life part in Wikipedia?
The early life part?
Yes.
I don't get it.
There's an early life section in Wikipedia when you look up someone. Literally anyone.
Oh, I've just realized what you're talking about. I do check it sometimes.
Because I'm not going to tell you the whole life of Crassius Curio and his business in Vivec City. So if you are interested, I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it's all right.
So starting at Vivec City as a prominent member of the once great merchant and mine owner house called House Hlaalu, Curio loved kissing and undressing the newcomers.
Wow, man, that's a rough start already.
Joe, I haven't even started yet.
Oh, well.
Of course, people were not familiar with this side of Curio, who seemed to truly oppose corruption and had the reputation of a great patron of arts and a good author, which I managed to dismantle in a few weeks, by the way.
Why? Did he write something about you?
No, he was the author of The Lusty Argonian Maid.
And I guess you really hated that book.
Not just that, but he was an Imperial writing about an Argonian maid teasing its master.
And what?
It's a red flag.
Wait, so it was like an early sign that he had something weird going on with Argonians?
Obviously. And it was annoying to know that a book like this circulated in my region.
I kind of understand this book thing, and I see why you call it a red flag, but I think that this is still not enough to draw conclusions regarding him, his business.
It's because I haven't finished yet.
All right.
Whenever non-house members approached him trying to do some business, his answer was always exactly the same line.
I can't talk about business to anyone who doesn't belong to House Hlaalu, sweetie.
Sweetie?
He also called others dumplings, but yeah.
What was the reason for secrecy?
I'm surprised that you noticed it almost immediately.
What, the secrecy?
Yes, I mean, we are at the point where it's supposed to be clear that House Hlaalu was in some kind of horse shit.
maybe. But it is also possible that he just didn't want to give out trade secrets or something.
Trade secrets.
Yeah, maybe.
Joe, we're talking about mining here. Members of House Hlaalu neither made secrets about their involvement in the mining business, nor they ever tried to hide how loyal and supportive they were towards the Empire and welcomed Imperial law, the legions and freedom of trade. Of course, as long as the so-called freedom favored them.
Are you telling me that they didn't have trade secrets?
Well, I mean, it's obvious that they had secrets and rules which did not allow Curio to do business with non-House members, but I cannot think of any trade secrets aside from how they were making their agreements. Running a mining business is not that complicated.
But what about the young Argonians? Isn't it possible that they were trading them?
Wait a second, that is not the way I interpreted the word trade.
How did you interpret it?
I thought you were talking about mining or tool-making as a trade, and when you said trade secrets, I meant that. You know, all the tradesmen have their own ways of doing business.
No, I meant like actual secrets in connection with the house trading something.
I do think that they were involved in Argonian trade.
Was there any investigation regarding this case?
Yes, but the house was a serious supporter of Imperial presence in my region, so the Imperials appointed a lazy, narcissistic fuck to investigate the case.
But how do you know that?
He didn't find any clues or evidence, despite the fact that everyone was talking about the Argonians and the depleted pits. You know, down in the mines, partly owned by the house.
This is unbelievable.
You better believe this. The guy's only job was to collect his paycheck at the end of the month.
Really?
Yes. And when some Nords overheard that he was not doing shit, word was sent to the Imperial city where they appointed 2 investigators to investigate his case.
So the investigator was investigated.
Yes. The investigators were investigating the investigator who investigated the case of House Hlaalu.
And I guess these investigations didn't end up anywhere.
These cases are still open and, yes, they have no clue what to do and where to look for in order to find evidence, mainly because those who were involved had plenty of time to clear up their mess, including Crassius Curio.
But at the time of his death, he was imprisoned in the Imperial city.
Yes.
He served the Imperial Council as an advisor for a few years.
Yes, and I knew.
Why would they let this happen to him?
I knew that we will end up here, and that's why I brought up the Goldbeards earlier.
Oh yeah, you said that they have these investing businesses to hide their wrongdoings.
They have investment firms.
Do they have golden beards, like the old dudes with the gray beards who are called the Greybeards?
Yes. They are somewhat altmeric, and that's why they have strange blondish beards.
What do you mean by saying they are somewhat altmeric?
They are the descendants of Imperials, Nords, and mostly Altmer.
And that's why they have those strange blondish beards.
Not just that, but they also possess the qualities which come with those kinds.
Like what?
They are resourceful, steadfast, cruel, conspiring, manipulative, treacherous, and warmongering.
If you keep coming up with stuff like this, you might offend a lot of people, and you know that.
No, especially not the Altmer.
Why?
Because the Altmer is immunized against all dangers. One may call him a warmonger, a Talus hater, pointy-eared or Daedra lover. It all runs off him like rain off the fine water-resistant clothes. But call him an Altmer and you will be astonished at how he recoils, how injured he is, how he suddenly shrinks back. I've been found out.
But you call them Altmer all the time.
Of course I do. I'm completely open about it, and you have said it multiple times too, by the way.
All right, but what was the role of the Goldbeards in the death of Curio?
The Caldera mining company was partly owned by them and House Hlaalu.
I really don't know what that company has to do with him.
The Caldera mining company, operated and partly owned by the members of the house, had an exclusive Imperial charter to exploit the ebony sources there, and in its mines there were many exhausted pits, which everyone was talking about.
That's where the Argonians were.
Yes.
But there's no evidence, so at this point, it's nothing more than just a conspiracy theory.
I'm so glad that it is not me who got appointed to investigate this case. It would be hard to find actual evidence because they had plenty of time to clean up their mess.
What makes you think that the Goldbeards were involved in this? The company was just partly owned by them.
Only they have the power and control to influence the Imperial Council this way.
But why would they have such a great influence over the council?
It's history. The Goldbeards made their wealth during the Great War by profiteering and loaning gold and silver to both sides of the struggle, but I think it was the profiteering which made them so infamous. It is said that one day a loaf of bread cost around 2 septims. The next day the same was selling for 20, and both sides had to feed their armies.
And no one tried to do anything about it?
The White Gold Concordat, which was signed between the Aldmeri Dominion and the Third Empire, ended the Great War, and it highly favored the Altmer. The Imperials had so many problems that they had no time and resources to go after the likes of them.
I mean, after listening to all of this, it seems to me that you based your claims on nothing else but suspicion, and...
No, it's not suspicion. It's literal history. Who owned the mines of the Reach in Skyrim before the Markarth incident?
I have no idea what that incident was or what happened with those mines.
After a sudden Bosmer uprising in the Reach, the rebels managed to take Markarth. Ulfric's Stormcloak marched on the city, ousted the rebels, and committed some war crimes. What is more interesting is that under the rule of the rebels, the ownership of all Moonstone, Orichalcum, gold and silver mining companies changed seemingly overnight.
How?
The Goldbeard Group became the majority shareholder of the companies which had the right to exploit those sources in the Reach.
And how did they manage to keep the ownership of those companies?
Shortly after Ulfric Stormcloak committed some atrocities, the Imperial Legion arrived to restore the rule of law, which meant that, they were pressured not to change the ownership of the companies previously occupied by the Altmer.
Don't tell me that the Imperial Council and the Emperor can't do anything about it.
They really can't. They had one of their emperors assassinated in the past, and most of their council is made up of merchants.
Merchants?
Yes. When I take a look at the most prominent members of the Imperial Council and the houses involved, like House Hlaalu and the Goldbeards themselves, I can't help but notice that they have one thing in common. Merchants. Merchants everywhere.
Maybe you are right, but how do you know so much about this? Where do you get your information from?
I get my information from the only reliable source. Cryptic symbolism in my dreams.
Haven't you said that they are not in your dreams, but rather they are the dreams themselves?
I have said that the visions I see during my slumber are the parts of my dream. They do not happen during my dream.
So this symbolism is basically the part of your dream?
Yes, I have to find a way to figure out the meaning of the cryptic symbolism.
Man, this stuff is so damn beyond me. Holy shit.
Of course it is.
And when you manage to figure out something, is it like a future event that might happen, or more like a thing in the past?
I see prophecies.
But they are like things that can happen in the future, or...
I see prophecies in the future and in the past. Some of them did not happen, a few came to be, and many are yet to come.
It still sounds bullshit to me.
Joe!
No, I'm honest with you, man. I knew this old guy from California. He used to smoke weed 24/7 and said to see the end of times.
Maybe he did.
Can you tell me something about the past or the future that I don't know but might find out later? Just to see how things work out.
I don't feel the need to prove you anything.
Wait, it's not about proving things, more like seeing if it works the way I might expect.
What do you want to know?
Well, we had this pandemic with quarantines and restrictions, and I remember that the rules also involved
Get to the point.
Okay, so we really don't know where the virus came from.
And you want me to look into the past and find its source so you will finally have someone to blame?
Exactly.
Is it really that important for you?
Yeah, man. We were literally locked up in our homes for almost a year. There were some very strict rules we had to get along with, all of this because one hungry motherfucker ate some raw bat soup in China.
So you know where it came from?
No, not really.
Are those strict rules still in effect? Do you have to stay home with your families?
No, luckily we made it through. When we finally had the chance, the entire neighborhood left to meet up with their friends and family. There were so many people outside, and they enjoyed it so much, just running around, exercising and having parties all over town.
So it was over?
Yes, because instead of extending the quarantine for another 2 months, they finally lifted the restrictions so we could get together and leave the house for the entire day. Man, I hated it so much.
I can understand that.
The first thing we did, I remember that. We had some people over in our backyard and we were grilling. It was a grill party with steaks, beer, music, and everything.
Sounds decent.
There were more than 20 people there and we all brought something with us.
But how long did it last?
The party or the quarantine?
The plague.
You mean the pandemic?
Yes. How long were you affected by that disease?
It lasted for around 3 years, maybe?
3 years.
Yeah, and it was very tough.
And it just disappeared or something.
I have no idea how many people are infected now. The media is not covering it anymore. Maybe it is still there and...
So technically, it just disappeared.
Yes.
Very strange indeed.
Why?
The Knahaten Flu held the continent in its grip for more than 40 years.
Really?
Yes, and that was also created in a lab and subsequently leaked by accident.
What do you mean?
Mainstream scholars generally attribute the disease to natural causes, but during the Imperial's war on moonsugar, the legionaries who were sent to Stormhold unearthed an old abandoned alchemy lab below the city, and when investigating the scene, they made a particularly unusual discovery.
They managed to dig up an entire laboratory.
Yes, but the real deal was not the lab itself. When searching through the old chests, they found a dusty bottle of corrupted hist sap and some Altmeri notes describing the sicknesses and mutations it can cause, with different kinds of ingredients.
And I guess these things were used as evidence against someone.
Exactly.
All right, but why did they leave them behind if they were so important?
When word reached the city that the legions crossed the border to Black Marsh, the alchemists of mainly Altmer origin left Stormhold in haste. Or at least that's what the Imperials reported after listening to the accounts of the bystanders.
So it is possible that they just didn't pay attention to them and made a big mistake.
A very big and foolish mistake at that.
So they were not...
And what was also a peculiar find is that the small shed which stood over the laboratory was built by an Argonian.
And what?
I personally always found it very convenient that the Argonians were immune to the disease.
Yeah, but that's still not enough to make assumptions and say that the Argonians were involved.
The evidence is plenty.
And why would they help each other?
Who?
The High Elves and the Argonians.
To destabilize the Empire and expand their control over Tamriel.
How?
The Somerset Isles were in a great position, strategically speaking. Far enough from the mainland, the Altmer were able to provide support for their old and new allies, pay off officials, and generally achieve many of their short-term goals.
So they took advantage of the situation.
Their machinations resulted in a weakened empire and elsewhere joining the Aldmeri Dominion.
Where did they join?
What?
Where did they join?
Elsewhere joined the Altmer.
Am I the only one not understanding it, or you just...
Elsewhere is a province.
Oh, that's the one with cat people, right?
Yes.
Why did they join the Dominion?
They say that it was out of respect and gratitude for the aid the Altmer provided them during the worst years of the plague. But as I have said it, the officials were paid off. Big time.
And how did this weaken the Empire?
It was not just elsewhere joining the Altmer. The plague made it impossible for the Imperials to station the legions in Black Marsh. And what was remarkably embarrassing is that the garrisons, which were ordered to hold their positions, died because of the plague, got slaughtered by the Argonians, or simply just fled back to their homeland.
So the Empire lost an entire province.
And half of its allies and a large chunk of its population, too.
Wow, man. That was a genius way to turn the tide of war.
Isn't it a bit sociopathic to say that pushing an entire continent on the verge of total collapse and plunging its populace into chaos by releasing a deadly disease is a genius thing to do?
Wait, I didn't mean
It's like, am I really the bad guy here?
No, I meant that this was a great way to turn the situation in their favor.
It was a power play.
Yeah.
And also a perfect opportunity for a get-rich-quick scheme.
I don't even have to guess that the High Elves were the ones who tried something.
Every single time.
Yeah, man.
But not in this case.
Really?
No. And I know that it's rare when those pesky Altmer are not the ones behind something. But this time, it was the Elder Council who came up with the so-called cure.
Did they try to get rich off the overpriced cure or something?
First of all, it was not an actual cure.
What was it?
It was lizard juice.
Lizard juice.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
A Redguard named Perazada made a potion by boiling clanfear claws in salt water and supposedly saved an entire village.
Supposedly.
Yes. With the help of the council, her potions were mass-produced, shipped, and sold out on the first day, but she later succumbed to the plague herself. Luckily for them, it took months for the Enwas to find out that the overpriced lizard juice was as effective as sorghum tea or chicken broth.
So there was no cure for the plague?
No.
which means that it was like your virus.
My virus?
Yes.
What do you mean?
You've created a virus which affects the minds of people and cannot be cured. I think it's called the corpus or something like that.
The divine disease is not a virus. It's a mission to attain a higher spiritual state, to achieve chim.
But it turns people into zombie-like beings.
That is not the case
Their
with...
skin rot, and they're not sentient anymore.
Because it's a divine blessing that most mortals cannot handle.
What's the point of this blessing, then?
The Blessed Ones do not age and completely immune to other diseases, including the likes of the Knahaten
But
Flu.
the Blessed Ones are also completely brain dead and their body rot away.
I know, but there is a treatment for those trivial things.
Trivial things.
Yes.
Is there like a spell or maybe a potion that...
A potion called Corpus 19.
What's the 19 for?
The Telvanni Laboratories LLC owns the rights, and they use 19 different ingredients to produce that thing.
So there is a corpus potion that solves these issues?
No, it's just some minor treatment, and a lot of NWAs died suddenly in the span of 2 weeks after taking it, so...
Which means that it's not very effective.
Well, that really depends on what you mean when you say effective.
You've said that a lot of people died because of it, so it's not...
That means it works. And just to emphasize how bad it is, I know a very sad and unhealthy vampire. A very, very sad and unhealthy vampire.
What's up with him?
Even he refuses to drink the blood of those who took the corpus potion.
Okay, but what's wrong with him? Why did you bring up that he's so sad and unhealthy?
It's just unbelievable to me how he lives. His daily routine is, he wakes up in the morning, takes a shit, gets out his bed, checks his dirty chest filled with large bottles of blood. If he finds a bottle that is not empty, he takes a sip. After that, he goes back to his bed and spends the day browsing Reddit or lurking on 4chan.
And what happens when...
I also have to add that he must go back to Reddit and stay there.
Okay, but what happens if all the bottles are empty?
If the bottles are empty, he goes back to sleep until midnight, and when the time comes, he wakes up and visits the nearest tavern to pick up some hoes.
I think that maybe he is either sick or depressed.
I really can't help him with that.
Why don't you just invite him to your gym and work out or have someone...
If you clean up the mess he leaves behind, I will invite him.
But you could just hire a maid or something.
Don't use that word again.
Why?
It gives me horrific flashbacks of a book I don't want to talk about ever again.
All right, but what do you do when you feel sick or depressed?
Joe, I'm a god, you know that, right?
Maybe if you share your ways with us, people can follow your footsteps and improve themselves.
Okay, so, when there are thoughts in my mind that dare to even question the greatness of my character, I just spend some time in my fume chamber.
In your fume chamber?
It's between my gym chamber and gaming chamber in the Red Mountain, and there are different kinds of volcanic fumes accumulating inside all day, so I can just sit in for a few hours whenever I want to.
Aren't volcanic fumes dangerous and toxic?
They are, mostly for the NWAs.
So this chamber is sealed with some special entrance, or...
No, it's just a wooden door.
Is that enough?
Why?
I mean, you've said that there are toxic fumes accumulating inside.
It's not leaking. Leaking has nothing to do with the material itself.
Oh, so it's like the wooden door in Minecraft.
No.
Was it a question, or...
I don't know. Minecraft.
Yeah, I asked if the door of that chamber works like the wooden door in Minecraft.
But why?
I'm just curious.
Why would the Minecraft doors work like mine?
I can explain it to you if...
What does this have to do with anything we've talked about until now?
So, in Minecraft, if you put some water in front of the door, it doesn't matter what material the door is made of, the water won't leak through. It can be an iron door or a wooden door. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
And you said that your door is made of wood and it's not leaky because it doesn't matter what material was used.
Of course not. It's a proper wooden door, not a sponge.
Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you is...
Joe, I'm not retarded to pay for a leaky door that's supposed to separate the toxic fume-filled chamber from the other parts of my estate.
Which means that it is like the wooden door in Minecraft.
Maybe.
You could just answer it with yes.
I am not going to say yes to something that I don't want to understand.
And what about the durability?
Durability?
Yes, the hardness.
Like in terms of Minecraft or what?
No, it's about your door now.
But not in comparison with your Minecraft doors.
No, it's just, how strong is it?
I don't know. I have never tried to break it.
You don't have to break it in order to find out how strong it is. For example, if you see cracks on its surface, that means the material is not too durable.
My wooden door is in pristine condition.
How does it sound when you close it?
I don't know. It sounds like when someone closes a heavy wooden door.
Can you hear some crackling noise when you close it?
What? What are we talking about?
The door.
Am I supposed to listen to the door when I close it?
You can hear it when you close it.
No. Why? Why would I hear a cracking noise?
I don't know.
It is not breaking out of its frame. It's almost new, just a few centuries old.
Have you ever closed other wooden doors so you can compare the noise they make?
I did. The last time when I was in court, I'm sure I almost broke one.
Did it crack?
Yes, I slammed it because I was somewhat furious.
Why? What happened?
I was on my way to make a spell banned because some Anwas managed to cause a lot of trouble with it.
I think I've heard about how you got a spell banned. They also said that a lot of people hate you because of that.
Yes, I got it banned and still received letters related to the case every other week.
Were you angry because of the hate or the trouble they caused?
The problem they created did cause me considerable financial loss. However, I left the chamber furiously because the Anwas in court were channeling a lot of negative energy towards me before the hearing.
Like literally?
What literally?
Were they using negative energy spells on you? Negative magic?
What on Niren is negative magic?
I don't know.
Me neither. You have absolutely no idea what you are talking about.
Okay, so they were very negative toward you.
Yes. I was prepared for the hearing, and of course everyone told me that it would not work out the way I wanted to, but as we were arguing in the chamber and the time passed, the opposition slowly realized that they never had a chance against my profound reasoning and intellectual superiority. It only took an hour, and I already had the signed agreement in my hands, which states that the use of the Transmute spell on college grounds is strictly prohibited for an indefinite period of time.
Yeah, a lot of people were so pissed off because of that.
They still are, and it feels incredible.
Why did you spend so much time protesting against that one spell?
Because it's dangerous.
And what about destruction magic? Fireballs, ice spikes?
Why should I care?
I mean, there are students in that college who incinerate each other every other month.
That is not my problem.
What was your problem with the Transmute spell then?
Don't tell me that you have never heard about the School of Alteration and its teachings.
You can change matter with alteration spells. At least that's all I can remember.
Kind of. It's about infinite possibilities. Learning the rules of the cosmos and breaking them. It's bullshit.
That's not very specific, though.
What should I specify?
Why did you make them ban the Transmute spell on college grounds?
The students were turning cows into ogrims.
Ogrims?
Yes.
What are ogrims?
Reptilian toad lizard beasts. They are a bit similar to ogres, but when it comes to the technical side, they are basically Daedra.
Do they have layers, too?
Layers?
You said that they are somewhat similar to ogres, and we all know that ogres have layers.
Layers?
Yes.
Joe, what the actual fuck are we talking about here? They are not cakes or something like that.
Somebody once told me that ogres are like onions. They have layers.
I'm not sure that ogres have anything in common with onions. Maybe that somebody meant that they are actual physical creatures. They have tissues and meat similar to most mortal beings.
So these ogrims are also physical beings.
Yes.
They're not ghosts or something like that.
No, they are not ghosts. They are actual physical beings.
Wait a second. So you can use the Transmute spell to turn actual living creatures into something else that can also live and function.
It's very complicated.
I thought it was used to change basic stuff like minerals and such.
You were supposed to use it to convert mineral ores, but if you experiment with it, well, they have experimented with it.
So this ogrim thing was the result of their experiments?
No, that happened later. At the early stages, they were turning boys into girls and vice versa.
Wow,
until
man.
they realized that they caused so much damage to themselves that there is no restoration spell in existence which could heal their wounds.
How did they manage to do that?
If you change the matter, you might not be able to go back to the original state you were in. They literally cannot be fixed.
That is so irresponsible.
It's retarded.
Why would they do anything like that?
Why would they incinerate each other every other month? Same question, really.
So after all, was it the ogrim thing that got you involved?
Yes, it's because trading ogrims is great business.
Why? What can you do with those ogrims?
You can send them against your enemies to annoy them.
Is that their only use?
Yes. They were sent to this world to torment and menace living things. They are annoying.
I mean, I really can't say that I understand why they're so valuable.
It's a Tamriel-specific thing. You have to live there for a few hundred years to understand how things work.
Oh, okay, so you were involved in Ogrim trade, and I guess those students creating Ogrims hurt your profits or something like that.
Those Ogrims were not real. They literally flooded the market with fake Ogrims and crashed it, almost causing a financial meltdown in Tamriel.
How can you crash an economy with fake Ogrims?
Almost. I said they almost caused a financial meltdown in Tamriel.
And you said that they used this transmute spell to turn the cows into Ogrims.
Yes.
Why do you refer to them as fake Ogrims?
Because they were not real.
Well, okay, but why?
They were cows that looked like Ogrims.
So they acted like cows or something?
Exactly. They did not function the way they supposed to, and suddenly no one wanted Ogrims.
And that was almost enough to melt down the whole system.
Yes.
Man, I thought we had serious problems here with our economy, but yours
I know, but it's okay now because I fixed it single-handedly.
You fixed it.
Yes.
You mean the economy?
I solved the problem.
Wait, so the transmute spell is now prohibited on college grounds, but what stops the students from doing it somewhere else?
Me, I told them that if I hear about fake Ogrims again, and it is somehow linked to them, they will be vaporized by the force of 1,000 suns.
Okay, so you know those students.
Yes.
But what about others?
What others?
Mages who are not the part of the system and can hide in old abandoned forts and just convert all kinds of animals into Ogrims.
You can't use the transmute spell legally outside of colleges and universities. Oh, wait. I mean, of course you can do it, but if you actually transmute something, the Empire will be involved really fast. And that means less work for me because they will track you down with the help of the Mages Guild.
So this stuff is strictly regulated.
Of course it is. You can use that spell to create literal gold.
Wait, so what if I wanted to turn myself into, let's say, Dunmer? Would they come after me too?
I'm not sure that they care about self-harm.
So I can just learn that spell and turn myself into a Dunmer if I want to.
You can study the School of Alteration and use the transmute spell on yourself the way you want to, but you will never be a Dunmer.
Wow, man, not cool.
Why do you want to be a Dunmer?
I have heard that you frequently throw those volcano parties, and I was thinking
You don't have to be a Dunmer to attend my parties, Joe. You are invited. You can come next
Thanks,
week.
but I don't take the heat of magma too well.
We will give you some resistance potions.
Should I dress like an ash vampire too?
No, we don't care about your clothes.
Why? What about the immersion?
No one will be immersed. Clothes don't change anything.
Why?
Because they don't. It's like that Nord dude who put on some bear pelt and tried to hang out with some bears.
Why? What happened with him?
He died.
Whoa.
I mean, it's not that we are going to hurt you or anything, but clothes don't change you.
This Nord dude with the bear costume.
Yes.
Can you tell me what happened to him?
He wanted to be a bear. So he went to the market, bought some bear pelt, put it on, and was wearing it every day, but of course that did not make him an actual bear. He was an Enwa wearing the remains of a deceased animal.
Did he identify as a bear?
He did, but no one cared. What everyone around him saw was a guy autistically screeching under 2 pounds of fur.
And what about the other bears? Did he try to hang out with them?
What do you mean by saying the other bears? He was a dude wearing bear pelt and not an actual bear.
Well, that's okay.
And yes, he was stupid enough to try it. He got too close to the real bears, and they mauled him.
Maybe those bears were just angry.
Don't start this, please.
What makes you think that some chill bears wouldn't have treated him differently?
You have to see it from the perspective of an actual bear. You're a real bear living the bear life, just chilling there, eating fish and berries and such. Suddenly this tall, smelly dude jumps out of a bush and starts running towards you with his dick out, screeching and wearing the remains of your relatives.
Relatives?
Grandparents, parents, children, whatever.
Oh, is it because of the pheromones?
Yes.
Even the chill bears would have known that he was not related to them because of his smell.
Exactly. And he was not a real bear.
But wait a second. He wore the bear pelt, and that smelled like that.
Yes, but he was still there, under 2 pounds of fur.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. The chill bears would have smelled him, and they would have seen him too. Bears have eyes too.
Aren't there spells or potions that make this smell go away? Like water breathing?
Water breathing has nothing to do with smell.
Or maybe he should have asked someone to transmute him into a bear.
Or maybe not. I'm so glad that it is strictly regulated now.
Don't tell me that you wouldn't use the transmute spell on yourself if you had 2 lives.
If I had 2 lives, I would have definitely turned myself into a Sweetroll.
A Sweetroll.
Yes.
But why?
Picture this. You come here, can't find me anywhere, and suddenly hear my voice. Joe! Hey, Joe! But you can't see me anywhere, and you don't know where my voice is coming from, so I give you a hint. On the table, you step closer to the table, and I continue. Flip the Sweetroll over. But at this point, you are very suspicious, and you don't reach for the Sweetroll, which means that I try to be, more persuasive. Come on, flip the Sweetroll, Joe. The payoff is huge. Still very suspicious of this situation, you grab a pencil from the table, turn the Sweetroll over, see that the Sweetroll has burning marks on it, which resemble my mask, and then I just continue. Boom! Big reveal. I'm a Sweetroll. What do you think about that?
That's so cool.
I turned myself into a Sweetroll, Joe. It's Sweetroll Dagoth Ur.
But why? Why did you turn yourself into a Sweetroll?
Why did the 11th of Heartfire happen? Was it an inside job? Was it an inside joke? I don't know. I'm just a Sweetroll. This is the part where you're supposed to be impressed, by the way.
Man, I would be so impressed. Could I taste you too?
What?
I mean, we're talking about 2 lives here, so it doesn't matter.
No, we are not going down that way.
Did the students go down that way?
Joe, I don't want to know if they ate each other.
All right,
What's wrong with you anyway?
But did they use that spell to turn themselves into stuff like food and beverages?
Maybe. I didn't spend too much time looking into what else they did with it.
Imagine what they could have done. All the crazy parties with people turning themselves into alcohol and drinking each other.
I can assure you that some of them went crazy, and yes, I would definitely expect them to do that.
The entire situation must have been so surreal.
Speaking of the surreal, I still don't understand what they expected. The sheer stupidity I observed while dealing with the college made me lose hope for the future of a Stormcloak-led Skyrim.
What do you mean?
It's over for them.
But why?
The students there can barely write and read. They don't learn the basics and cheat all the time.
Wait, how do you know so much about the problems of the college? Do you visit them often, or have some...
Well, the banning of that spell was not the only occasion I had to stand up against them.
Did you guys have another court hearing or something like that?
No, the last time we had a quarrel, I took the court to the college.
What do you mean?
It was a 1-member court with me making the decisions in front of the college.
I'm sure that's not a legal thing to do.
They deserved it.
But why? What did they do?
I have said that the students prefer neither writing nor reading.
Yeah.
They still have to do some research and publish their papers, which is technically their final exam.
Publishing a research is their final exam.
Yes, they don't have to write tests or anything like that. All they have to do is write some papers based on other research papers, and that's it. Sounds easy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really mess up copying someone else's work.
Unless your mental capabilities are ridiculously undeveloped thanks to the lack of effort put into bettering yourself by reading literary masterpieces like My Red Crolls.
So this school is for people who were diagnosed with some kind of disability or mental illness.
No, they are ignorant and lazy. 2 NYs from that college took 50 pages from my study related to manipulating volcanic activity and published it without naming me.
Okay, let me get this straight. As far as I know, the writers have to include some kind of a source when they use stuff from other people. It's like there are rules related to it.
Yes.
And that's what they missed there. They didn't name your thing as their source.
It's not just about the source. It's about me.
They didn't mention you or anything?
No, they didn't.
So they just took your stuff and tried to get away with it?
Yes, but it didn't work out too well for them.
What happened?
I was blocking the main gate of the college with my body for 5 days.
Why?
Because they didn't let me in so I could speak with the students who copied my research.
And that's why you were blocking the gate with your body?
Yes.
For 5 whole days?
I was angered, and that was the only passable entrance to the college at the time.
So no one was able to get in or get out?
Exactly. I was standing there telling everyone who tried to get in that the school's closed due to Sanguinare Vampiris.
Sanguinare Vampiris?
It's a disease spread by vampires and leads to vampirism if not cured in time.
This disease thing sounds very serious to me.
It is, but I did not expect them to take me too seriously until the Dawn Guard showed up on the 5th day to cleanse the place.
Were they angry at you for doing this?
No, I told them who they should look for and just left.
And what happened with those students?
I don't know and couldn't care less because I haven't seen any publications from them since.
But the members of the Dawn Guard can't just kill people, right?
No, they lock them up in cages for examinations.
For examinations?
Yes.
What are they looking for when they examine them?
Weakness to sunlight, resistance to fire, whatever.
They test the resistance to fire.
Yes.
Isn't that painful?
It is extremely painful, and that's why I said that I don't care about them anymore. The mere thought of them being, examined by the Dawn Guard makes my need for retribution satisfied.
Well, you have really interesting ways to handle these situations, and I'm not saying that you did the right thing, but that paper is still there without your name on it.
I really don't care.
But you spent so much time doing your research, and now barely anyone knows that the paper which they published is partly your work.
I have never said that I spent a lot of time with that research.
But you still spent
It doesn't
time with
take me too much time to understand academic material and then win an argument almost immediately after.
What argument?
Any argument.
Even the tits versus ass argument?
The tits versus ass argument?
Yes.
Joe, you have just said something completely new to me.
Really?
Yes. I have never heard about this argument before, and it interests me.
You're not kidding?
No. Can you tell me more about this tits versus ass argument?
I mean, of course, but I'm not sure where to start.
At the beginning. Maybe.
Okay. So there is this argument which might be as old as our civilization itself, or maybe even older.
That sounds fascinating.
Basically, all you have to do is choose either tits or ass, and then defend your opinion against someone else who would choose the other.
That's it.
Yes, but it's really tricky because people can always tell why they would choose one, but even the most respected academics are in trouble when it comes to reasoning against the other.
It sounds a bit retarded.
Why?
Have you ever seen a real Dunmer yummy mummy?
What do you mean?
Have you ever seen a real Dunmer woman?
I don't remember.
So you don't know.
I really don't know what you meant by saying.
Joe, this argument does not exist for me.
All right, but you said that you can win any argument, and when it comes to this, you still have to choose one.
Why would I choose one of them when I can have both?
Because you can't have both of them in this argument. That's the point.
I get it, but the problem is that Dunmer grammar does not define the use of or between tits and ass. It simply does not exist.
I understand that it might be hard for you, but this argument
is not hard. It's more like your civilization is in a completely different position than mine.
You might be right, but I still want to know which you would choose if you really had to.
Well, if I really had to choose between a dump truck and a milk truck, I would definitely go for the milk truck.
And why would you go for it?
I'm more of a milk truck kind of guy.
So it's the front side that you prefer?
I prefer both the front and the back. You wanted me to choose one.
Yeah, I know you chose the front, so I will go with the back.
All right.
What if I told you that large breasts could cause some serious back pain?
Why would her enormous tits cause me back pain?
No,
I don't carry women on my back like a backpack.
Wait, no. Not for you, for her.
What?
They could cause some serious back pain for her.
That is not my problem.
It can be your problem, too.
How?
If her back hurt so often, she would be moody and sassy all day long.
I would use a restoration spell or just give her some skooma.
All right. And what about the clothes?
Clothes.
It would be hard for her to find clothes that she likes.
Joe, her clothes are not my problem.
So you don't care about clothing?
Do I look like someone who cares about clothes?
Okay, but what if she showed too much?
What do you mean?
You know, if she put out a little too much for others to see.
I would not get involved as long as they remain spectators for her show.
And what do you have against the other?
You mean the ass?
Yeah.
If she didn't take adequate care of herself down there, I would definitely keep some distance.
Why?
Imagine the smell.
I think that this is not good enough.
What?
The answers that you gave.
Why?
Because it doesn't sound like a proper argument to me.
Should I bring up some definitions with anatomically accurate bodies and give you a PowerPoint presentation?
No, you don't have to do that, but I want to.
What do you expect me to do? It's your problem anyways.
I mean, it's not necessarily my problem. I think I've mentioned that they say this argument might be older than our civilization.
Yes, you have said it.
We can even look up some pictures so you can see how old it is.
We can,
Jamie-
but we really don't have to.
Jamie, pull up the stone babes those cavemen made.
Babes.
Yes.
Are you sure that we can show things like these on YouTube?
Of course, it's art. These are the ones. See?
What am I looking at here?
Well, these
What are these?
These are small statues, sculptures, and little figurines, I think.
Joe,
Yeah.
why are you showing me these?
I just wanted to show you the...
Am I interested in these? I don't even know.
This is some very old art that embodies the argument.
And you call this art?
Yeah, man. Just look at them.
These look like some weird-shaped turds that were fossilized in a swamp.
No, these are sculptures and little statues carved out of stone.
So you say that these are the products of your civilization?
Yes, and these are some really, really old stuff.
I could produce turds way hotter than these when I was barely able to walk. Not that it took me too much time to learn it.
Okay, but these are valuable to us in a special kind of way.
Wait, so just to make it clear for me, because I'm a bit confused right now.
Why?
You referred to these when you said babes.
Yeah, look at the shapes. That's what I'm talking about.
Do you have prescription for eyeglasses?
What?
Do you have to use glasses in order to see properly?
No, I don't have to use glasses.
Do you have any other problems with your eyes?
No. Why? Why are you asking?
I don't know if we see the same thing on the screen. Are we even looking at the same screen?
Yeah, I mean, it's right there.
Maybe it's just too small resolution and I can't see the details. Jamie, scale it up a bit.
Jamie, put it on full screen mode and zoom in.
Oh no. Oh no, this is way worse.
What?
For Azura, this is way worse on the big screen.
Really?
Yes, I have expressed my dissatisfaction. Why is it still in front of me?
All right, Jamie, you can close
I
it.
have just realized that the gap between our civilizations is almost as great as the difference between the Altmer and the Aldmer.
Why would you say that?
Have you ever seen the pyramids in my region? They are the products of our civilization. Those are ancient art.
Wait a second. You are telling me that your pyramids were not built by ancient aliens. Should I repeat the question or just...
No, don't say it again.
Then why don't you answer?
Aliens.
Ancient aliens.
Are the ancient aliens building pyramids now?
No, they might have been the ones who built them.
Really?
Yes.
Are your ancient aliens mentally handicapped by any chance?
Why?
Why would they build pyramids everywhere and just leave them behind?
Maybe they are beacons for communication or the parts of some kind of a system which generates energy.
For who?
For the aliens.
And where are these aliens now?
I don't know. Maybe they're invisible.
Joe.
They might have technology that allows them to travel long distances, and it can also turn their spaceships invisible somehow,
Joe,
or
are
even
you-
let them move and exist in another dimension which we cannot see.
Joe, are you on DMT again?
No, not right now.
I mean, sometimes skooma hits hard, but I really want to know what you guys can achieve with that DMT.
Man, I could talk about DMT for like hours.
And do you know why?
Why?
Because that's what everyone is interested in. Drugs, aliens, tits, Dwemer constructs flying into Imperial towers while the Altmer are dancing on the smoldering ruins of civilization.
What are you talking about?
I'm not sure, but I can feel it in the air. It's the skooma.
The skooma?
Exactly, and this is also a sign of a declining civilization.
Really?
Yes, we have way more important topics to discuss than these.
Like what?
Have you heard of Pelinal Whitestrake?
Yeah, he was the guy who massacred a bunch of elves.
No, he did not massacre a bunch of elves.
Wait, so you're telling me
As
that...
I have said it, only a fool would believe that Pelinal Whitestrake alone could take on an army of Mir.
I
Even
mean,
if.
it's obvious that it wasn't just him, but also...
What do you mean?
He ordered his men to commit all those crimes.
Ordered them.
Yes.
Show me the order.
What?
I want to see some evidence, Joe.
Are you kidding me?
What? You don't have a source?
Of course I have...
To me, it seems that you based your claims against him on nothing else but suspicion.
No, I have a source.
Wait, let me guess.
It's
Wikipedia.
Yeah, I've read it on Wikipedia.
What a grand and intoxicating innocence.
Why?
It took me to read only 4 articles from Nepos the Nose to realize that what he writes is not history. It's more like some weird dark fantasy.
Dark fantasy.
Yes. He wrote about Star-Made Knight ordering his men to build a castle of his fallen enemy's bones.
A bone castle.
Yes.
Man, that sounds so cool.
I know, but it's not real. It never happened.
But how do you know that it never happened?
It's
It
because
was a really long time ago.
even the A-Leads forgot to mention the Castle of Bones in their reports.
The A-Leads.
Yes. The A-Leads, also called the Heartland High Elves by the Anois.
Wait, these elves were the ones who lived in that tower?
They occupied the region which is now ruled by the Imperials, including the White Gold Tower.
Isn't it possible that they just didn't know about the castle?
And where was it?
I don't know.
Where are the bones?
You're asking me?
Yes. Where's the evidence?
How would I know? Maybe the Dragonborn turned them into bone meal or something.
I am not going to respond to that.
Why?
Look, if you really want to believe in weird dark fantasies, I'm down with it, but you shouldn't measure him by the nose.
Measure him by the nose.
By Nepo's the nose.
Oh, okay.
You have to do some actual research in order to find out what happened, because if you really looked into it, you would find out that Pelinal Whitestrake did nothing wrong.
Why would you say that? He carried out a massacre.
They were in war with each other and the participants died in the battles.
I know,
He
but...
led a terribly successful military campaign against the I-Leads, and that's why they tried to discredit him.
And what about the time-traveling cyborg part?
A cybernetic organism with living tissue over an adamantium endoskeleton?
Yeah.
No. They wanted to make him seem cool by spreading propaganda so the freed slaves would join the army and fight for him.
Wow, man. And those slaves were humans, right?
Yes.
So this guy was more like a freedom fighter,
Not necessarily.
but he still freed the humans from them.
Kind of.
And then what happened with the Highland Elves?
You mean the Heartland High Elves?
Yes.
They were driven off.
They weren't chased down and massacred?
I have never heard of an A-Leads Delenda-esque campaign going on back in the day, so...
You are telling me that he never committed any atrocities or crimes.
I would not say that.
Why?
There was a story about Pelinal III meeting with the Khajiit for the first time, and...
For the first time.
Yes, he didn't know what they were. The only things he noticed almost immediately were the pointy ears, and that's where he made some mistakes. Maybe.
Why? What did he do?
He almost started a campaign of absolute annihilation.
So he committed some atrocities after all.
Almost. But yes, if flattening a few dozen villages is an atrocity for you.
That sounds like a serious crime to me.
Maybe.
And how did it end for him?
He was beheaded.
That's it. That's this story from your perspective.
Yes, don't expect too much.
No time-traveling cyborg or superpowers.
No, that was just propaganda so the freed slaves would believe in him and fight.
Yeah, you've said it.
And they also say that he was a virgin.
Okay, but...
All right, that's it.
What?
I've said. All right, that's it. You guys stop here and now.
Who's this?
Dagoth Ur. The hatred I feel for you now is eternal.
What
I
are you
had
doing
to.
here?
Look, I had
Why
to.
are you here? How is it possible?
Cease the chatter while I'm giving word to the scorching and relentless fury which your blatant lies planted in my mind.
No.
I want to
You will
tell
never
you that.
silence me, Star-Made Knight.
I literally had to materialize in this world because I couldn't take your bullshit anymore.
What do you mean?
I did not spread propaganda, you scumbag weasel.
Wait a
I
second.
crushed so many elven skulls with my bare fists you couldn't even count.
That is not possible.
Why?
I can count to infinity. It's easy.
If you keep doing this, I'm going to pulverize you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who asked you?
What?
I haven't heard anyone asking you about your perspective, Knight.
Well, I'm telling
And who
you,
summoned you anyways?
I summoned myself,
Of course.
and I'm here now.
But no one asked for it. No one wants you here.
You do know that my mind can be easily heated by furious anger, which previously erased a civilization from the surface of Tamriel.
Maybe, but your anger issues are none of my business, and still, no one asked you.
Am I in danger now?
Why?
I mean, he's sitting so close to me, and I don't even know how he get in the...
That's what I'm telling you. He just appeared here uninvited.
I am your guest now. I let you enjoy my company.
I have never asked you. Joe, have you ever asked him?
No, but if he's here, we can ask him about what happened there.
And what do you expect from him? Don't you see
He
that
will
he
tell
is?
us what happened there.
Yes, I'm still here next to you. You can ask me.
Do not ask him,
How did the conflict start between you and the elves?
he asked him.
It started like every great tale depicting the strength, vigilance, and steadfastness of the most chivalrous knight whose deeds were
Oh,
so.
come on! He asked you to tell him what kicked out the war, not what you think of yourself.
Maybe if you let me finish the portrayal of my greatness, I would be able to tell him.
But no one asked you to tell us how great you think you are.
Yet I'm here telling you anyways.
Joe, I told you not to ask him. This is exactly what I expected from him.
In my dream, an angel descended from heavens. Slowly approaching me, she sang songs of conquest and riches. She said that even more greatness awaits me, and for that I must move towards the heartlands. There I will find people in dire need of my astounding strength and will to dominance.
Lame.
Lame.
My weakest dreams were way better than this.
I'm telling you the story.
Yeah, of
There
course.
is no need for overcompensation here.
Was it the dream that started the war? Or maybe
No, it was the attitude of the A-leads.
Did they treat you badly?
Yes, they always told me sweet lies, but their honeyed words had no effect on my conscious mind, as they tried to capture me multiple times in the past. On the fourth occasion, they made some serious efforts to lure me into a trap, and it finally awakened a scorching fire in my soul. That heat was the fuel for my campaign against them, and that was the point when I told my men the famous lines.
What famous lines?
Enough is enough. I have had it with these motherfucking eyelids on this motherfucking continent.
So it was more about personal issues and not necessarily freeing the humans from the elves.
Of course not, he told you. It was about conquest and riches.
Well, I'm not saying that.
The A-leads were weak. Their empire was literally free real estate for him.
And yes, technically it was free real estate.
And what about the war crimes? Did you guys really commit some atrocities there?
Well, did we sack more eyelid villages than what was needed in order to have enough supplies for the boys? Of course we did. Was it intentional? I would never say that it was not. Does it count as a war crime? They were the slavers, so no one cares.
So it was more like a slight atrocity?
You can call it the way you want to. Some places were erased from existence. Others were spared. It depended on how I felt at the moment. You know how it works.
No. I'm not sure that I know.
I can enlighten you. Just ask me.
What about the cat people?
The cat folks.
Yes.
I could have steamrolled them too, but didn't feel like
Why would
it.
you attack them?
Who?
The cat folks.
It's beyond you.
Beyond me.
Yes, I had a dream, or maybe it was an old and hazy memory of my past. A cat with large, shining, saber-like teeth walked up to me and demanded tribute.
The cat wanted tribute.
Yes, but I could not argue with it because my body moved faster than my mind.
I mean, that's...
I fought with it for 7 days and 7 nights until it retreated to its den. It was a dark and humid.
Okay, so the cat memory made you think that they might turn against you.
I can state it with great confidence that if I didn't show them my strength, they would have pushed my patience to its limit.
So you expected them to attack you.
I expected them to attack the vulnerable parts of my kingdom.
You know that walls exists, right?
Why would I build walls?
Walls are great at not letting your enemies move freely into your country.
No way.
Why? What's wrong with walls? I love my ghost fences.
It's because you are a pussy.
What?
Dear viewer, watch closely. You are about to experience an Enwa moment. Nepos, the nose, defines the Enwa moment as a moment when fury and ignorance overwhelm the mind of an otherwise logical person, causing him to act in an illogical and destructive manner, i.e., like an Enwa.
You called me a pussy.
Yes, I did. What are you going to do?
You dare to speak to me with that tongue.
What are you going to do?
I'm gonna tell you.
You are telling me.
Yes, I'm about to say.
What are you going to tell me?
I'm about to say.
A big misconception about the Enwa moment is that it can be avoided by simply moving away from Enwas. If only it were that easy. See, every Enwa moment begins with the Enwa. Without that key element, all you're left with is peace and quiet.
You haven't heard it.
What? What have you said?
I am not going to repeat myself. I'm not a tape recorder.
I am going to turn you into a tape recorder.
Oh, really?
Yes! Lock yourself up in your cope chamber.
Cope chamber?
Exactly.
What is a cope chamber?
Pelinal Whitestrake, the Divine Crusader, is, and always has been, a straightforward man. When someone said something he did not agree with, he openly opposed it. And when someone gave him the impression of being a pussy, he said it out loud.
You are a pussy.
Motherfucker.
And just like that, Dagoth Ur was trapped in an Enwa moment. At this point he can A. Take the conversation to another direction, B. Fight him to the death while dematerializing the material world around them, or C. Start a pointless and seemingly endless argument filled with insults and offensive language. Let's see which one he chooses.
You don't want to face your problems. You want to build walls around them.
You are an asshole.
You want to hide from them. I faced my problems like a real man and made them non-existent.
Oh, yes. Because you've almost completely annihilated an entire kind of mare.
Exactly.
I guess your mom is really proud of you.
Speaking of mother...
What is your name again? Star-Maid Knight?
Yes.
More like Beheaded Knight.
You are reaching the point of no return.
Did you really speak of regret when they found your head?
I'm going to bash a hole in your skull.
That is not too intelligent, Mr. Knight the Beheaded.
I am not going to be too intelligent with you.
Not that I expected too much intelligence from you.
I will flip this table on you.
Come on, you can do better.
I will smite you with the relentless fury of the Nine.
Oh my, what's next? Are you gonna skin me with a butter knife?
I'm going to skin you with a butter knife.
You are so creative.
You have no idea how creative I can be with a butter knife.
You belong to a mental health institution.
And you belong to
I'm not even kidding. That's where you spent the last century.
What do you mean?
Where were you in the last few hundred years?
I was on my way to have sex with your mother, but the line was too long, so I changed my mind, and I'm here now.
Oh, that's a classic. We are being classy here now, so listen.
I am not going to listen.
Really?
No, I'm not going to.
Of course. You are here to educate us about your great deeds.
Wait a second. No, I'm not going to educate you.
What are you going to do then?
I'm not here to educate you. I'm here to tell you 5 things.
Really?
Yes. Fuck you. You were adopted. Your parents never loved you. You are a virgin, and you cannot chim.
What?
Why?
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
He's gone.
Did he really say that I cannot chim?
Yes, and he said a lot of other things too.
All right. I will bring here a black soul gem and a chain.
Why?
We will make him materialize again. You will chain him to the chair and I will capture his soul. No questions asked.
I mean, I don't think that we have time for things like this.
There is always time to fix things.
If that's the case, you should fix those Wikipedia pages instead.
Which Wikipedia pages?
The ones that tell how the Nerevarine defeated you.
I am going to at some point.
And the part about him visiting you.
Why? What's wrong with that?
You've said you've got standards, and because of that, you won't let the Nerevarine inside, but the Wikipedia page says he visited your place.
Wait a second. Nerevar came inside Dagoth Ur at least 4 times during the Third Era.
I mean, inside your base and not...
Inside the Red Mountain.
Did you invite him?
No, I did not invite him. Nerevar doesn't need an invitation. He just shows up when he feels like it. Despite the ever-watchful sentries, walls, and monumental wooden doors blocking all possible entrances, he always manages to find his way around. Sometimes I ask myself...
Okay, so after all, Nerevar visited your place, right?
Yeah, the last time. He tried to take the heart of Lorkhan by stealth. disrespecting me, the sixth house, and the tribe unmourned.
He disrespected you.
Well, I mean, look. There are only a few rules I expect visitors to obey when they come to Dagoth Ur, the building. And Nerevar ignored the most important one, which is, come to me openly and not by stealth.
And how did you manage to catch him?
I felt his presence.
That sounds so cool.
To be honest, it was pretty boring. I just walked up to him and...
What did you do to him?
I welcomed him.
Really?
Yes.
So you were not angry with him because of the stealth thing?
Oh, I was fuming, but, you know, he is a lizard. What can a god expect from a lizard?
But did you talk about his manners or something?
No, I surprised him.
But why?
Have you ever seen a surprised lizard?
No, I don't think that I have.
Nords and Imperials usually raise their eyebrows, but when it comes to Argonians, their eyes almost pop out of their sockets.
They definitely look very strange.
That's their ordinary form.
Okay, and how did you surprise him?
I told him about a developing story regarding Molag Bal ceremonies in the Thalmor tunnels under Riften.
Molag Bal ceremonies.
Molag Bal ceremonies.
Oh, so these ball ceremonies are not like dance parties or proms.
No, they are rituals usually involving some kind of a sacrifice or offer to Molag Bal.
Is he some kind of a god or supernatural being?
Molag Bal is the Daedric prince of domination and enslavement of mortals. His worshippers also refer to him as the god of schemes, but I think that's an exaggeration.
So he is a supernatural being.
Technically, Daedric princes rule over their own planes of oblivion, which they shaped. They have no connection to Nirn, so they cannot be permanently killed, only banished.
Can they subjugate real people?
Of course they can.
And how?
They capture their souls, but kill them before, obviously.
Man, these Daedra guys must be pure evil.
Daedra are evil. There is evil in your world, double that, and you can imagine them.
It's insane.
They are, literally.
All right? So you've said that they make offers to this bald dude during the ceremonies.
Yes, they usually sacrifice someone or something to Molag Bal. I also have to add that sacrifice was strictly prohibited before the
Yeah,
Thalmor.
I guess there are rules when it comes to sacrificing living things.
Not just that. They originally worshipped the Aedra, not the Daedra, but a lot of things changed with the rise of the Thalmor.
But how do you know so much about this?
Research, ancient texts, survivors, witnesses, a long list of sources, you know.
Well, I kind of understand why Nerevar was so surprised listening to all of this.
No, he knew about the ceremonies.
You mean the sacrifices?
Yeah, the part that surprised him was about the tunnels.
What tunnels?
The tunnels under Riften.
Did someone build illegal tunnels under the city?
Exactly, and the case was getting more and more hilarious as it was developing. It started with a few citizens reporting that they saw Thalmor agents crawling out of the sewers. The
But
witnesses...
why would they crawl out of the sewers?
I will tell you, but let me finish the introduction.
Oh, okay.
So the witnesses were called Anti-altmeristic and Thalmor haters, as you would expect. It took the guards an entire week to realize that something serious was happening under the city, because so many complaints were sent to them, they were barely able to handle them. Wait a second, Jamie. There are 3 pictures on that pen drive. They are called Report 1, 2, and 3.
What are these reports
Open
about?
the first. There is a wall next to the guard's post where the citizens can leave messages for them. They left some very interesting notes. Look, this is the first one. There is someone under my floor speaking Aldmeri. During the night, I can hear him talk and digging noises too. I would check on it, but there is a problem. I don't have a basement.
Maybe it was just a bad dream or something.
Definitely not. Jamie, go to the second picture. I'm in my wine cellar looking for something to drink, and the walls are speaking Elvish. They are in the walls. They are the walls.
Man, this is crazy.
Yeah, I know, but there is more. The third report is priceless because someone added a personal thought. Jamie, you can go to the third one. Look. They've got tunnels everywhere. I swear I saw a Thalmor agent in the Ratway in Riften the other day. Could have just been a skeever, though. Easy enough to mistake them. And do you see that part?
With a different color.
Yeah, someone added this line later. Maybe he was looking for a septum.
I really don't see why it's so hilarious.
It's amusing because if you think about it, this case brings a whole new meaning to the Ratway.
I still don't get it, though.
Okay, let's just skip this so I can tell you about
But what did the guards do? What was their reaction when the citizens reached out for their help?
They sent them away with a one-liner. Your complaints are duly noted, citizen. Now get lost.
So they just simply dismissed them.
Of course they did. Do you really expect them to read evidence and construct a coherent understanding of the facts of the matter?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely expect more from the city guards.
What a grand and intoxicating innocence.
It's their job to look after the citizens.
In your world, maybe.
All right, so the High Elves dug those tunnels because they wanted to hold their ceremonies underground, or what?
They didn't dig the tunnels.
Who did it then?
I don't know, but the Altmer despise manual labor. I'm sure that they didn't do it. And when it comes to the reason, they wanted to move unnoticed between places. There was a tunnel leading to the Riften orphanage which hasn't been investigated yet.
Why was there a tunnel leading to an orphanage?
I don't know, because I've just told you that it hasn't been investigated yet, but I'm sure the findings will show us nothing out of the ordinary, especially when it comes to Malagbal worshippers, if they find anything at all.
Okay, so you're telling me their known goal was to move unnoticed.
Yes, the guards could spot Thalmor agents from miles. The creation of the tunnel system allowed them to move unnoticed, communicate whenever they wanted, and transport whatever they could.
And that's why they were using the sewers.
Maybe they thought that expanding the Ratway is a good idea and expected the Inwaz to ignore the fact that there are literal cultists moving in and out of the sewers.
You know what? This is like something straight out of a Bugs Bunny episode.
I don't know what that is.
What?
This Bugs Bunny you've said.
You mean Bugs Bunny?
I have never heard of it. Is it some kind of a savage monster that creates extensive tunnel systems beneath urban areas with a particular preference for tunnels leading to orphanages?
No. Bugs Bunny is a rabbit in the Looney Tunes animated universe.
What?
Basically, it's a kid's cartoon with a rabbit called Bugs Bunny, who digs long tunnels to hide from the hunter trying to catch him during Wobbit season.
And why does he want to catch the rabbit?
Because it's Wobbit season.
Wobbit season.
Yes.
What does he do with rabbits during the Wobbit season?
Well, as far as I know, he just wants to shoot Bunny with a shotgun.
Oh, okay. So it's a show for children.
Yeah.
Interesting, but why did you bring up this rabbit? How is it connected to our discussion?
It's somewhat related to it because Bugs Bunny has to dig tunnels and live there so the hunter can't.
I still don't see it.
Okay, but
To
there's
me,
more
it seems that you are trying to take this discussion to another direction. A direction I don't want to.
All I want to tell is, if we don't know what happened there, going down the rabbit hole might be a bad idea.
Joe, I was talking about tunnels, not rabbit holes.
Wait, it's not like a literal rabbit hole.
But you were talking about the rabbit.
I know, but it's not.
What is it then?
Down the rabbit hole means getting deep into something or ending up somewhere strange.
Look, I can assure you that very strange things happen there, but let me invite a guest who might tell us more about it.
Do you know an investigator or expert?
No, he is an Altmer.
Oh, so what's he going to talk about?
I will make him tell us their secrets.
Their secrets?
Yes, I was suspecting it, so I did some research and found out that he is indeed a Thalmor agent.
I doubt that you can make agents tell you their secrets.
They were not supposed to, but in his case I can. Just watch.
But how?
I will make him angry or hurt his pride, and he will start to brag about their plans.
Which means that you are going to annoy him until he tells us something that he was not supposed to.
Exactly. Jamie, I logged into my Skype account. Open the client, but look out. If Azura sent me a message, do not, in any case, click on it. Okay, now click on the search bar and start typing Sunsilk. That's him.
Why did you call him a mud crab in the chat?
He hates mud crabs.
Okay, should we call him?
Yes, Jamie, you can call him. Sunsilk, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you sure?
What do you want?
Listen, I'm here with Joe Rogan, and he said that you are as potent as a mud crab.
I've never said that.
Well, okay. Tell him that he has no idea about anything.
He knows. There is a reason I've told you this in advance, by the way.
Why? What happened?
I don't want your impotent rage to burst out too rapidly during our conversation.
Very funny, Vorin, but I don't need your assistance.
Did you really say that fire spells can melt adamantium beams?
Yes, and of course they can. It's a well-documented thing.
And who documented it?
The scholars at the Arcane University.
I mean, it's hard to take a study from the Arcane University seriously. They were so incompetent that they didn't even realize half their leadership staff was secretly working for Manimarco.
We are talking about research here,
Oh, and of course you knew Manimarco personally. I heard that you spent some summer nights together.
What are you talking about?
Is it true?
No, it's not.
What can you tell us about him?
You know what? I'm going to tell you something else.
But I asked you about your boyfriend, Sunsilk.
Vorin, you are delusional. Your lack of agency has made you a laughingstock in higher circles.
Not that I care about your high circles anyway.
Yeah, I know, because you spend most of your time locked inside your volcano, doing the same movements with heavy weights for days in your so-called gym chamber. And when you are not there, you are trying to raise an army by inventing diseases, failed experiments which you and your deranged followers call blessings. But really, you have no friends, no allies, no army, no nation. Your followers are literal brain-dead, disease-infected, rotting corpses while you refer to yourself as the Lord High Counselor. But let me ask you a question. Who are the other members of that council? Are you the council?
It's complicated
You
because...
live on your Deirdre-cursed, divine disease-blasted, ash-covered rocks, dreaming of world rule, and of course you don't want to be a king or an emperor, but a god-king. How are you going to achieve that exactly? Is there a plan
Room
which you
temperature IQ take? Only an Altmer could say something like this.
It was pretty accurate in my opinion.
Well, first of all, I don't care about your opinion. I discard it.
Good to hear.
Second, there is no shame in physical fitness.
I was not talking about physical fitness.
Third, the divine disease is a blessing. It's just too much for mortals to handle.
They are literal rotting corpses.
But they live forever and can serve me as long as they can walk.
Vorin, are you serious right now?
Fourth, the council is technically House Dagoth, which got members, and my answer to your last question is Akulakan.
That Numidium will never work.
Oh, is it your impotent rage again?
What are you talking about?
I've got my hands on an ancient superweapon and you have no idea how to top it.
Is this why you called me? I have no time to argue about nonsensical topics.
I guess you are too important of a mere to argue about anything.
There is an urgent meeting in Alinor that I have to attend today.
Alinor? What, Alinor?
My country.
It sounds like some cheap Bosmer beauty product.
You are not going to call my country a cheap Bosmer product.
Your country?
Yes!
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking
wait.
about.
You are from the Somerset Isles.
Calling it Somerset Isles in itself is anti-altmeristic and reactionary Imperial talk.
Really?
It's the Imperial propaganda name designed to emphasize its dependence on the Empire. Alinor is the name used by the sovereign government of Alinor.
I've never heard of it.
Just so you know, I'm recording our call and this is going straight to the Aldmeri Defamation League.
And what are you going to do? Are you going to accuse me of asking questions?
Any criticism or mockery of Alinor is anti-altmeristic.
How can I criticize something I have no knowledge of?
The Merchant Guild won't be happy to hear this, Vorin.
Well, I will tell them about your Molag Bol worship. We will see
Our
what...
worship has nothing to do with you mocking our
Thank
country.
you.
And
This is what I wanted.
you won't be so
Okay,
smart
Jamie,
once we
just
manage
hang
to
up.
get a hold of
The red button with the...
Don't you dare to hang up.
Joe, what do you think?
I don't know, man. He seemed to be very angry.
He was, and he said it.
Maybe he didn't mean it that way.
Are you serious? Are you serious right now?
Yeah, I mean, you made him so angry he was barely able to keep himself together.
Do you need more evidence or something?
No, it's fine, but I'm a bit confused.
But why?
You seem to be so cool after the conversation.
What do you mean?
Aren't you angry with him?
Why would I be angry?
I mean, he said all those stupid things about you on stream.
Oh, believe me, even Nerevar couldn't say enough fucked up shit to shake up the whole 6th house.
I'm surprised because this guy had a literal meltdown.
Yeah, they have a different mindset.
Are they always this insecure when someone tries to criticize or mock their country?
Yes, because the Altmer know that they will never have a real country.
What do you mean?
Alinor has no clearly defined borders. The Altmer have no cohesive national identity. They have no legitimacy. They are island dwellers twisted by fairy tales and Thalmor imperialism into a crude mockery of ancient Aelid statehood. All the support they get is two-faced and half-hearted. Behind their backs, real countries mock them. Their trade partners are disgusted and ashamed of them. Their allies laugh at their failed occupations behind closed doors. Imperials are utterly repulsed by them. Thousands of years of conflict have allowed the Imperials to sniff out doomed knife-eared states with incredible efficiency. Their alliance parade is a dead giveaway. And even if they manage to get a Redguard monarchy to recognize them, it will resume support for orc warbands the second it gets a whiff of their diseased, infected Thalmerism.
Thalmorism?
Exactly. They will never be secure. They hoist up a fake banner every single morning and tell themselves it's going to be okay. But deep inside, they feel the ice spikes and fireballs raining down like a storm, ready to crush them under the unbearable and furious power of the elements. Eventually, it'll be too much to bear. They will buy passes, take out their secondary identities, put them in their pockets, and sail off to Tamriel or Yokuda. Their neighbors will find their empty settlements elated and relieved that they no longer have to live with the unbearable confusion and disappointment. They will bury their statehood with a flag marked with their symbols, and every passerby for the rest of eternity will know another Altmer state is buried there. Their nationhood will decay and go back to the dust, and all that will remain of their legacy is a region that is unmistakably orcified.
Seriously?
Yes, this is their fate. This is what Molag Bal chose for them. He tricked them, and there is no turning back.
But why would they do so many stupid things, risking that a lot of people might turn against them?
Is this a serious question?
Are you serious about this Thalmor Ball dude conspiracy?
Joe, we've just had a guest say what I was.
I get it, but I don't think that the High Elf government is connected to this cult. It's more like there are a few of them who might be the members of it.
A few cultists are enough.
Yeah,
just look up what they did to the orcs in High Rock. Jamie, there is a picture of a Thalmor embassy and another with a map showing the embassies near High Rock. They are the first two in the second row. Open them.
Did they sacrifice the orcs?
No. Look. The red castles are the fortified Thalmor embassies. The Thalmor keep building them close to strategically important locations.
Okay, but we were talking about those cultists having some connections to...
And as far as I know, they do not sacrifice, but rather slaughter the orcs.
Are they in war with each other?
They have been fighting each other for decades, if not centuries.
Is this war between them related to the Thalmor worshipping that Bale dude?
Yes. The orcs worship Malakath. Malakath is a Daedric prince, like Molag Bal. But in their dimension, they are technically solar opposites.
So this Malakath is the good guy?
No, I have said. That in their dimension, meaning where corruption rules, they are different.
Okay. Do they hate each other?
They do, immensely. And they always commit unspeakable atrocities against the followers of each other.
Like what?
Well, one not too serious atrocity resulted in the creation of the Mace of Molag Bal when Molag Bal deceived an orcish blacksmith and enslaved him in the pits of Cold Harbor. The blacksmith was turned into a soul shriven and forced to forge the mace.
And you call that a not too serious atrocity?
It depends. I was somewhat.
All right. Look, as far as I understand, this conflict started a very long time ago, and it is fueled by zealots.
And a lot of other things like land, resources, traditional values, etc.
Is it a traditional value for them to fight?
Yes, the orcs are inherently deranged and completely unstable. They always pick fights, and their chieftains love to expand the reach of their domains, despite the fact that they can barely administer a village, let alone large towns and cities.
Which means that they're not too smart.
They are stupid. Wherever they go, they build strongholds, and those strongholds are not the civilized, cultured ones. More like ugly stone hills next to each other. They resemble caves more than actual buildings.
So they don't just take towns and villages, but build stuff like bases for themselves.
And I haven't mentioned the trail of destruction that follows them.
Okay, but based on what you've said, the High Elves couldn't live with them in peace, even if they really wanted to.
The Altmer live on the Somerset Isles. That's where their so-called government is, not in High Rock.
Yeah, but they are so close to those military bases. Why would anyone...
They are embassies, not military bases.
But the castle on that picture was fortified and filled with soldiers.
The Thalmor embassies are fortified strongholds with warriors, mages, special forces units, and equipment for sieges.
Okay, but what I wanted
The presence
to...
of a Thalmor embassy means that the territory has been conquered by the Altmer.
All right, I get it. But if we go back to that picture, Jamie, can you go back and pull that up again? The map with the mountains and the castles?
You mean the embassies near High Rock? It's right there.
Yeah, that one. All I'm saying is that the settlers who built those villages so close to the embassies were asking for it.
Are you serious right now?
Why?
Is this a joke?
No.
You basically said that they built their country too close to those embassies.
Well, they technically did because...
The villages and towns were there way before the Altmer built those embassies.
Really?
Yes, and the commoners were not asking for what happened to them.
But it won't change the fact that those orcs attacked the embassy and massacred the elves inside.
A random orc warband attacked the Thalmor embassy, captured some prisoners, and demanded ransom.
They killed some of them.
It's a complicated situation, and I wanted to clarify.
And the orcs who knew about it were not supposed to just stand on the sides and watch things go down the way they did.
Even the Thalmor knew about that warband.
Did they know what those orcs were planning to do?
No, they were alerted by some Redguards who saw the warband moving southward.
So they didn't know anything about the orcs' plan.
They knew that an orc warband was moving southward, armed and dangerous.
Okay, but how could they know the danger which the orc warband...
Joe, they are orcs.
I get it, but the embassy was fortified, yet getting in seemed to be so easy for the orcs that I just can't...
You got a point there. They sent the mages to a local worshipping site to investigate something, left the gates open, and let the guards go off duty for the day. Very strange how everything that could have stopped the orcs
Don't tell me that you see a conspiracy in this attack, too.
Well, looking at how things worked out for the orcs, I wouldn't have suggested anything like this because...
Because of the retaliation?
Exactly. Some random orc warband ransacked a Thalmor embassy, and in exchange for that, the Altmer are carrying out a campaign of total annihilation against Hrothgar.
Hrothgar?
It's the mountain range where the orcs live.
And what about that, Orcisium?
Orsinium is their capital city, which is being destroyed with forbidden fire spells as we are speaking here.
So you suggest that this retaliation strike is too harsh?
You better ask those who live or lived in Orsinium.
Why? You're right
Their
here
capital is being burned to dust for a random orc warband's action.
I know you've already said it, but I think I have mentioned that the other orcs had a role in this, and
I have also mentioned that the fire spells they're using against the besieged city were banned in Tamriel.
So it's illegal to use them on the continent?
It's a literal crime to use them against any population. But of course, when the Altmer are the ones who are committing the atrocities and war crimes, everything is just fine. Nothing to see there, really.
Are you sure that they're using the banned ones?
What do you mean?
How do you know that the fire spells they're using are the banned ones?
They are casting literal orbs of hellfire which incinerate almost everything in their way.
Wow, man. That sounds very dangerous.
Yeah. Imagine the shock of the orcs inside who are getting carbonized by them.
Look, I know that this is a serious case, but still, the orcs who knew about it didn't do anything to stop them.
Do you really expect the orcs to use their intellect?
But what did they expect?
Expectations.
Yeah, I can't believe that they didn't see it coming.
See it coming?
Yeah, man.
Joe, you are speaking about the future.
Wait, I'm not talking about looking into the future. It's more like they really didn't expect any retaliation from the High Elves.
Again, you are talking about a future event.
Are you trying to tell me that the orcs don't have the ability to have realistic expectations?
No, there is something else. A more dystopian thing about the orcs.
Is it their lack of ability to understand things?
Yes, it's time.
Time?
Time does not exist to the orc. There is only the present, the now. A guard yells, "Do not run or I will. In the future, use my crossbow." This phrase is meaningless to the orc. In the orc's mind, he has two choices: be detained by the guard or run and be free. That the guard will use his crossbow 5 seconds into the future is incomprehensible to the orc.
Really?
Yes. Orcs are living in a science fiction parallel universe where there is no continuity with themselves 15 seconds into the future. As an Imperial or Nord, you think you are still you 15 seconds in the future. Not so to the orc. The orc sees no relation to himself 15 seconds in the future. It is a completely different person. Their interests are unrelated, if not opposed.
Are you sure that they're this stupid?
Yes. Once you understand that an orc cares as much about himself 15 seconds into the future as you do about some random orc, all of a sudden, all orcs' decisions make sense. Why go into obscene amounts of debt for a gold-plated carriage? Some other random orc will have to pay it back instead of you. Why rape some random Imperial or Nord girl? Some other random orc will go to jail, not you, etc. In their minds, the orcs are literally free of all consequences for their actions, as they've broken the cause-effect chain through orc magic.
And how does this orc magic work?
It doesn't work. That's the point. Now you can also appreciate the injustice of orcs being taken down or put in jail. If an orc shot at a guard 15 seconds ago, that was a completely different random orc. The orc getting taken down was just living his life. In an alternate universe where you forever live in one moment, and is now being taken down for literally no reason.
This sounds too stupid to be real.
Orc mamas have been trying to explain this to thick Imperials for years with the shorthand, "He was good." These ginormous orcresses are trying to explain that, while to you, it appears that her orc son committed some horrific act of violence. In fact, that was actually a completely different orc in a parallel universe. Orcs only exist in the moment, and in the moment, the orcress is speaking, the only moment she has ever known. Her orc son literally has not done anything wrong.
Incredible.
Being an orc is like reliving the Groundhog Day movie over forever, but in 15-second clips. The next time you interact with an orc or a mud crab, remember that.
So the orcs are stupid.
And they can't swim, which makes me think
but
of...
why are you so concerned about their situation if you hate them?
I find orcs deeply repulsive, but I don't want them to become stateless.
And why?
Because they will come here, to my place. You know, where destiny is made.
So you want them to stay where they are?
I don't want them to come here with their Daedra-loving, muck-hugging hubris and set up strongholds. They smell bad and don't do any good to my businesses either.
But why would the Altmer want to make them stateless?
The Rothgarian mountains are rich in resources and might hold many secrets too.
And what?
The orcs have never let the Altmer near the mountains and also refuse to bend their knees before them.
So it's about the resources again.
And they used that place as a landfill too.
A landfill?
Yeah, they managed to buy some land in High Rock and poison the ground with toxic waste.
Really?
I've always heard the Altmer say, there are a lot more important problems than High Rock to worry about.
So they do it for the resources and because they want to use the place as a landfill?
I don't know what their exact goal is, but the campaign which they are leading against the orcs is successful. The population of Tamriel slowly began to despise the orcs thanks to Thalmor propaganda.
They spread propaganda about them too.
Yes, when an orc does something remarkable, which is rare, no one says a word. However, if the same orc breaks a glass of wine in the Imperial city, wait only a few days, and you will hear Nords talk about him even in the most deserted corners of Skyrim.
Which means that they demonize the orcs, so the people won't be sympathetic when bad things happen to them.
Maybe. I give it a year or maybe a few months and we will see the Imperial Legion starting joint operations with the Thalmor Special Forces in Hrothgar.
You mean humanitarian operations, like delivering aid and supplies to...
Are you kidding with me?
Why?
They will burn down every orc village and town in sight. In fact, that's what the Altmer are doing as we are speaking here. They just call it a special and peaceful 2 weeks defense operation.
A peaceful defense operation?
Exactly.
But why does the defensive retaliation operation have to be this harsh? Why are they so cruel to the orcs?
Well, I think there is a resurgence of anti-orcism because at this point in time, Alinor has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think I am going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place.
Really?
Yes. Alinor is not going to be the monolithic society they once were in the last 70 years. It's a huge transformation for Alinor to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode and I will be resented because of my leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Alinor will not survive.
What does that mean?
Alinor needs more orcs to survive.
But how would that help them?
Help them?
Yeah, man.
I have never talked about helping them. Diversity is my strength.
You mean it's our strength?
No, it's my strength. You really don't understand it, do you?
Sometimes I'm really confused when it comes to political slogans. I can't tell
That's
if...
not necessarily your fault. Sometimes they were not supposed to make sense at all.
All right then, tell me, what's the reason behind your politics?
Are there many birds where you live?
There are a few species that live almost as...
No, I mean in numbers.
Well, it depends on the season, but I think I can say we've got a lot of birds, like in general, you know.
Do they always defecate on your stuff?
They do, very frequently.
Back in the day, we had too many birds in Morrowind, and thanks to their unique swamp-related diet, they had constant diarrhea.
Holy shit, that sounds awful.
The situation was so bad that we had to breed and release a special kind of flying beast called Cliff Racer to cull the bird population in my region. Now, instead of birds, we have flying, bloodthirsty beasts circling over Morrowind, but at least they don't defecate on everything.
I wouldn't consider that as an improvement.
What do you mean?
You've released bloodthirsty monsters into the wild.
Oh, come on, Joe. How often do you say, "Hey, that's a nice cliff there"? Be a shame if someone raced it.
I don't get it.
Of course you don't. You don't visit cliffs in Morrowind.
So if I stay away from cliffs, they're not going to bother me.
Oh well, they are going to, believe me. But as long as you can run away and hide, nothing too bad can happen.
Man, wildlife is a hell of a thing. You can't really control how things work out.
No, I can. You were supposed to be able to control it too. All you need is a solid foundation of knowledge regarding the beasts that exist in our world.
Yeah, but how do you get to know this stuff? Did you learn things like this in school?
Yes, I still remember how we, as young Chimer, had to sit through all those lessons. Then, we had one exam where the hunters and mages asked us questions.
Did you have to take one test for every subject or only one for...
No. We had one test at the end. I was asked about the dragon crisis, which I found too easy to talk about.
Why? What happened during the crisis?
The dragons, one by one, were lured into traps, and then their eggs were destroyed. The entire dragon species disappeared within a few decades.
I think I've read that the war against the dragons lasted for a very long time and claimed a lot of human lives.
I know that there are tales about how dangerous they were, but if you think about it, all mortal beings have weaknesses, and those weaknesses can be exploited to a ridiculous extent.
Yeah, I guess those dragons must have had some serious weaknesses if killing them off was that easy.
It wasn't easy, and their greatest weakness was considered to be their scale structure.
The scales were their weaknesses?
Well, no. All dragons had birth defects near their wings and necks. For the dragon slayers, it was crucial to study the dragons before initiating the fights because they had different problems related to their scales. The most common being a wide space between two big scales just under their necks. This was the lethal point the slayers were focusing on.
Did they have big spaces between their scales?
Yes, thanks to the way they moved and learned to fly at a very young age, they made it worse for themselves. You could spot large gaps under their wings, between their legs, and under their necks.
So the slayers tried to wound the dragons between their scales?
Exactly.
Did they need special equipment, like very long spears, so they didn't have to get too close to the dragons?
No, they didn't need anything special, and it was advised to get close to the dragons as fast as possible.
Really?
Dragons could breathe fire and use their tails as weapons from a great distance. Getting closer, they could only use their claws and fangs to attack, which could be blocked by magic or quality armor.
Yeah, that sounds right.
In the case of the bigger ones, which were also slower, the moment the slayers got too close, the dragons kind of lost vision of them.
But how did they lose their vision?
They didn't lose their vision. It meant that the large and slow dragons were not able to spot the slayers when they got close enough.
Oh, okay. Did you talk about the weapons they used?
No, the hunters and mages didn't care about the weapons.
Didn't they use special tools to slay dragons?
Joe, I've already said that they didn't need anything special. There were some tools, but there is a reason why I haven't mentioned them.
So the guys who were listening to you really didn't care about the weapons and tools?
No, because they don't matter. The slayers studied the dragons, made some plans, and charged the dragons to get close to them as fast as possible while focusing on the gaps.
You've mentioned the one under the neck, which...
Yes, Joe, let's say you are a slayer in a simulation. You see the dragon. See, it has a nice big gap between its scales under the neck. It is sleeping, so you can just walk up to it and...
That would be too easy.
It happened. I have never said that they always fought the dragons face to face.
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
So there is a sleeping, fire-breathing Bloodthirsty wild beast that could tear you apart with its claws or slash you into two parts by a single whip of its tail.
Oh, come on, man.
But despite all of that, you just walk up there, and by thrusting between those scales under the neck, even if you use an iron sword, you can still wound the dragon.
Man, this stuff is so interesting.
Yeah, they found it interesting too and agreed that my knowledge regarding wild beasts is satisfactory.
And what about chimps?
Chimps.
How much do you know about chimps?
What chimps?
Chimpanzees.
The name is familiar,
Don't
but...
you guys have them running around somewhere?
No, I would never allow the chimpanzees to run around in my place. In fact, I don't allow it to anyone because technically it's a colossal automaton building facility. You have to be careful and walk at a normal pace if I let you in.
Good for you. Luckily, we only have them in some far and remote places.
But why?
What?
What did you mean by saying that they are luckily in far and remote places?
I mean, there are a few chimps in the zoo, so they're not necessarily that far from us. We can still look at them.
Okay, but you just said that they are luckily in far and remote places.
Oh, it's because we really don't want them to freely roam around in our cities and do their thing, you know.
Are they a nuisance? Are they destructive?
They're very dangerous.
What can you tell me about them?
Man, if chimps were everywhere, we would have a very serious problem.
Are they that dangerous?
Well, the problem is that people don't take them seriously. And when they meet a little one, they immediately try to feed it or even cuddle it.
I'm sure they would do the same with a baby dragon.
Yeah, I remember when that guy from Discovery Channel got too close to a baby chimp and the little shit just bit of his finger.
I would have definitely expected that.
He was lucky that the mother wasn't there.
Maybe he would have lost a few more fingers.
More like his limbs or nutsacks.
What do you mean?
They can literally rip apart a young man with their claws.
No, the latter part with the nutsacks.
You mean ripping them off?
I don't know.
Wait, so you didn't know?
No, but you can enlighten me.
All it takes for them is to reach out for your nutsacks and that's it. You can say goodbye to them.
Are you serious right now?
I'm not kidding. Chimps can just rip off your balls.
But they are not focusing on it, right?
On the nutsacks.
It's not a priority for them to rip off your balls while tearing you apart.
No, I don't think that they have priorities while killing something.
That's okay. It would have been strange if these creatures had a motive like this.
Motive?
The motive to do something like...
Oh, wait, it's not like there are motives behind the attacks or anything like that.
Why would they tear you apart then?
It's their natural expression to charge you and beat you and bite you while tearing off your limbs and ears and everything. They are violent by their nature.
It's understandable. They are wild beasts after all.
Yeah. If you think that relaxing around them is a good idea, expecting that they won't just snatch your nutsacks and run away with them, you haven't paid attention to the literature.
What literature?
The literature about chimps.
Is there a collection of books and studies related to these beasts ripping off nutsacks?
Well, maybe. I've only read like a brochure in the zoo and watched a few documentaries about them.
And they granted you a perfect understanding of the chimpanzees?
Yes.
So the documentaries...
I guess I could read more about them, but
Did they...
Anyway, I was...
Let me finish the sentence.
You can.
So when it comes to these beasts, what is the source of the power which grants them the strength to rip apart a grown Enwa?
Nutrients, carbs, protein.
Carbs.
Yeah, I think it's their diet.
Didn't those documentaries unfold their secrets?
I mean, I don't think that chimps have secrets, man.
And what about their diet?
They eat plants and meat on occasions.
Are you telling me that their strength comes from consuming plants?
I guess. Based on what I saw, they can get extremely strong thanks to their diet, but their muscles are not visible because of their body hair. And by the way, that's why people get too close to them. The babies look like playful, fluffy little motherfuckers. One would feed and cuddle, but once they get too close, it's annihilation time.
Which means that they use their body hair as, may I say, camouflage to hide their strength from the prey?
I wouldn't say that they camouflage. It's more like they are hairy, you know.
But you've just said that they can get close to their prey thanks to their body hair, whether they use it intentionally or not.
Yeah, but that only works as long as they have their body hair. Jamie, look up that chimp without its body hair.
Is it natural for them to lose their body hair?
It happens from time to time. Look at that.
It looks reasonably strong.
Man, imagine this bursting through the jungle, charging at you while shouting.
There's nothing a fireball or a fire rune couldn't fix. No problem here.
Yeah, but not in the case of an everyday guy.
How often does something like this happen to you?
The charging and shouting.
How often do NWAS get in contact with the chimpanzees?
Well, as far as I know, there are tribesmen who live close to them so they can run into each other on a daily basis.
Which means that they are in a never-ending struggle for survival.
You mean the tribesmen?
Yes.
No, they've managed to overcome the dangers of living together with chimps. For example, there are the Samoan babies that can run fast. That's what's going to survive.
Are they still afraid of them?
They better be, because if they aren't, they haven't paid attention to the literature.
Do you mean the documentaries or the...
Yeah, they're kind of short, but managed to tell a lot. In one of them, they've also said that we have evolved from a common ancestor. It's interesting stuff.
But you don't look like a chimpanzee.
Thanks, man.
No, wait. It was not a compliment.
Oh, okay.
And just to make it clear, when it comes to these beasts, it's their violent nature that makes them so intolerable for your communities.
Well, I think it's their violence and cruelty.
Cruelty.
Yeah, if you end up surrounded by them, they will just bite you and beat you and bug you and fucking whoop your ass and annihilate you until they get bored and leave.
All right, I'm confident that I have a satisfactory understanding of chimpanzees and their violent nature now.
It's also good to know that in China, the apex predator is the escalator. In the places where the chimps migrate to, they become the ones.
Aren't the escalators those moving stairs?
Yes, they are.
How can a moving stair become a predator?
I have no idea, but if it seems unbelievable to you, just look at the numbers. And there are videos too. Jamie, can you pull up that family tragedy with the escalator?
We can skip that.
Are you sure?
I'm confident.
All right, but I'm telling you, those things were designed to eat people.
Joe, we are talking about stairs.
I know, and that's why. If they moved there, you can bet they would cause the system to collapse, and a new empire could emerge from the ashes.
In China?
Yeah, they would reestablish society and rule the Chinese. There would be this warrior caste that keeps the workers in line, and when
Wait a second. Are we still talking about chimpanzees and their violent nature?
Kind of. Why?
You started off with chimpanzees being dangerous, and I just can't follow how we got from there to China and the escalators?
Maybe I should tell you about the trains of India instead.
The trains in India?
Haven't you heard of them?
I know what a baggage train is, but maybe the trains of India are special in some way.
They are 10,000 tons of hateful steel.
Hateful steel?
Yeah, they are war machines fueled by steam and pure hatred.
What are you talking about?
Wait, it's not me. The wise elders who survived the attacks tell tales about how those demonic vessels are being pushed forward by their tracks, bursting out of the jungle to ambush their prey.
Are you talking about trains that move on predetermined, fixed tracks which are clearly visible?
Yes, but the trains themselves are not always visible. Let me show you the case with Chef.
Who's Chef?
There was this guy with a funny chef hat who was walking by the tracks, and out of nowhere, a train ambushed him.
Joe, he could have just stepped aside. There was a clearly visible pathway for the train.
Yes, but he could not possibly notice the train behind him. It was an ambush. That's the point I'm trying to make.
You shouldn't try to make up anything here.
What should I do then?
On my podcast, you either know what you are talking about, and I approve your points, or you don't talk because I don't let you. It's that simple.
Okay, but what's wrong with the way I tried to...
I don't care about the clumsy days of commoners struggling through their petty lives with problems and never-ending agony. I'm a god.
Yeah, I know.
And just before you derailed our conversation, I wanted to order you not to tell the Altmer about chimpanzees.
But why?
They will immediately try to use them against any developed and functioning society as soon as they realize what they are capable of. Believe me.
Man, you really can't stop demonizing them.
Demonizing?
Yeah.
I don't have to demonize them. They do it themselves.
How do they demonize themselves?
They scheme. They conspire.
Can you bring up some proof to back up?
But why? At this point in time, they do their things in plain sight. They no longer try to conceal their dealings with...
All right, but I don't think that seeking connections and relations between every event that happens around the world is a very healthy thing to do, you know?
I know, Joe. I was not talking about being autistic.
Okay, but still.
It's about noticing things. Being a noticer.
A noticer.
Yes. Have you ever noticed anything that might suggest a conspiracy or just a deeper meaning?
I don't think that this noticer thing applies to me.
All right, let me try something. Don't you find it just a bit odd that the owner of the land on which Oblivion Gate 7 manifested was of Aldmeri descent?
Why?
His insurance policy on it was bailed out entirely by the Empire. How curious. Almost like he planned it that way.
I don't see any problem
And on the
with
same day, the financial district was torched by unknown ghastly figures, just a few days after the Imperial Council found out that they were short of 200 million septums. Strange, isn't it?
That is very strange.
Also, do you still remember the 3 Imperial buildings that collapsed after 2 of them got hit by the 2 flying constructs?
I really don't know, man.
Of course you don't. It's mathematics. 3 minus 2 equals 0.
Wasn't there an actual reason for that?
What do you mean?
I forgot what caused the 3rd building to collapse.
I know a lot of things, but I don't know what destroyed that building. The way I don't know why the Empire keeps sending funding to the Somerset Isles, but I have a wild guess.
Maybe it's just this bias that you have against the High Elves.
So I have a bias now.
Yeah, I mean, you always see them behind everything and don't recognize that they suffered almost as much as...
What are you talking about?
Don't tell me that you've never heard of what happened to them.
Joe, they always tell you what happened to them. In fact, there is an old Nord proverb. The High Elf will tell you what happened to him, but never why.
See, this is what you do all the time. You always bring up your quotes, but this is not what
This is not mine. It's an old Nord proverb.
Bringing these things up will not help you in an actual argument.
I don't consider your opinion as a valid one.
And it also makes you more and more unpopular in some places.
In what places exactly?
I just don't know how
Somerset Isles, maybe?
Maybe you should cool it with the anti-altmeristic remarks, man.
Have you ever noticed how they say that you are anti-altmeristic, but they never say you are wrong?
Oh, come on. Don't start this again.
Joe, I'm not starting anything.
There's a reason why that word exists.
The term anti-altmeristic was created by the Aldmeri Defamation League to shield the Altmer from any criticism.
And can you prove it?
It exists.
That doesn't prove that they shield themselves with it.
Every time someone brings up something that might affect them badly, they use this term to cut the debate short.
Can you tell me about a debate where they used it that way?
Like any debate involving the protocols of the Elder Scrolls, for example?
The protocols.
Yes.
Haven't they already called bullshit on those documents?
Who are they?
What do you mean?
Who do you refer to when you say them?
Imperials, High Elves. Why?
It's just my curiosity.
You do realize that those documents were labeled as discreditable. Of course they called them...
Discreditable documents discredit themselves. They don't have to be labeled as discreditable.
But to me, those documents seem to be discreditable.
Have you ever...
And I do think that they were forged with bad intentions, so they could frame the High Elves.
If the documents were the forgeries, which the Altmer claim them to be, the forgers would probably have taken pains to make Altmeri authorship so clear that their anti-altmeristic purpose could easily have been detected.
So the text doesn't make it clear who the author is?
No. The word Aldmer only appears twice in the protocols.
The word Aldmer?
Yes.
Wait, is there a difference between the Altmer and the Aldmer?
The Aldmer ruled the continent a very long time ago, and the Altmer refer to themselves as Aldmer because they think that if they can sell Tamriel the idea that they are the direct descendants of them, they can also convince Tamriel that they are the rightful rulers of the continent too.
And it only appears twice in the documents.
Yes, but based on your question, you seem to be completely unfamiliar with the protocols.
I'm not completely unfamiliar with them.
Have you ever read them?
No, I've only read about them.
So you have never even touched the protocols and still call them discreditable?
I've read reviews and summaries about them.
And who wrote those reviews and summaries?
I'm not sure that...
Wait, you don't have to answer me. I don't even have to guess at this point.
At least I've got some sources. What are yours?
Me.
You?
I am the source.
You are your source.
Yes, I am the source because I have read the protocols and I'm a god.
I'm not saying that you are wrong, but...
Then don't say anything. Would you doubt a god?
It sounds weird that...
Look, I could just say that I made it the fuck up, but that wouldn't be true.
No, it's fine, but I would like to know what you have against them.
I've got a surprisingly long list filled with the wrongdoings of my opponents, so I expect you to tell me exactly who you meant by saying them.
Against those who say that the documents are discreditable.
Like you.
No, not me.
I'm starting with you.
But I was not.
You should look at your sources again and do some fact checks first.
And who's checking your facts?
I am my fact checker.
So if I check my facts, that's fine and not...
Let me check them for you.
Well, that's...
Why do you think that the documents are discreditable?
I mean, it's literally a crazy plan to rule the world through autocratic means.
It's not a crazy plan to rule the world. It's a set of rules which, if followed, provides a paved pathway towards world control.
And you believe in this?
It's not a matter of faith. The purpose of the plan revealed in the protocols is to undermine all authority in order that a new authority, in the form of autocracy, may be set up.
I know, I've said that.
And the program announced in the protocols is being steadily carried out, very noticeably.
But why wouldn't they try to ban those who are copying and printing them?
They tried to ban them and made a lot of noise when the first publications were released.
And why did they write those things down when...
And they were not supposed to be distributed in a written format.
What do you mean?
Based on how the documents were written, they seemed to be notes taken during lectures, exclusively held for Altmeri students somewhere in the Somerset Isles or elsewhere.
So they were not supposed to write down those things?
No. They were supposed to spread the word through oral tradition.
Oral tradition.
Exactly.
Okay, but how did they find those notes?
The origin and circumstances of how they found them are unclear. They say that the legionaries came by the document during a house search in connection with a notorious moon sugar dealer in elsewhere.
And the dealer was of Altmeri descent?
He was not, and that's why I've said that the origin of the documents is unclear. It doesn't make too much sense to me why the Altmer would entrust a fragile cat person with the hiding of such secrets.
But really? Why would they leave those important notes in the house of a notorious dealer?
Exactly. See, critical thinking doesn't hurt.
And because of this, it is more probable that the documents were forged.
No, and don't form an opinion about something that you have never got in contact with or read properly.
Okay, maybe I should give it a try and read a few pages.
This is your lucky day, then. I've got a surprise party for you.
Really? Man, that's
No, I lied.
Oh, come on.
Instead, I have brought you a surprise PDF file. Jamie, pull up the PDF file I have on that pen drive. It's the protocols _for_chim.pdf.
That has the protocols?
Yes.
What's that JPEG file?
Which JPEG file?
The one that's called sneed.jpg.
Do not open that on stream.
Wow, man, you got a lot of text there.
I know. I cut out the not too important parts so you can read what matters the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool story and all, but there are a lot of words there, and I'm not sure that I want to read them.
You're not reading the text.
No, I'm not reading it.
All right, I will read the text for you to make it very convenient. Is that okay?
Fine by me.
So to begin with, the Protocols of the Elder Scrolls, also known as the Protocols of the Learned Aldmer of Alinor, are the results of hundreds of years of experimentation and research involving the Elder Scrolls.
So the Elder Scrolls have information which might help them rule the world.
The Elder Scrolls are artifacts of unknown origin and quantity, being simultaneously archives of historic past and future events.
Sounds cool.
They often tell of events that require a hero to resolve them, although the scrolls themselves do not select such individuals.
How do they solve them then?
It took the Altmer hundreds of years of experimentation to extract a few pages of useful information from the scrolls, but I have to add that...
And they are about future events or what?
No. The scrolls gave them a glimpse of the past, including how conquest can be carried out without considerable bloodshed.
Man, that is so otherworldly.
It's dangerous knowledge in the wrong hands. In the worst possible hands.
Is it in the documents?
Yes.
How does this conquest thing work?
The formula is not, we will do this, but the FM will be made to think and do these things.
So they conquer themselves.
What does that even mean?
Maybe I was a little bit...
They will be subjugated by their own will.
But how?
Through the use of magic and education. When reading the protocols, you will notice the ways which they...
You are reading them, not me.
Okay. When I start reading them, it won't be too much of a challenge to notice that the text doesn't sound like a motivational speech with patriotic remarks, but more like cool facts with clearly defined goals and steps in order to achieve them.
Which means that the protocols are not propaganda.
No, and they are made of 4 major sections, but these parts are not well defined or separated in the documents. I've spent some time with them and broke up the text into sections and subsections in the PDF file. The first section examines EFM nature. The second section speaks of goals already accomplished. The third section specifies the rules and methods which will help them achieve their goals. And the fourth section lists things yet to be accomplished.
What's the logic behind the structure?
The first section tells about the weaknesses the Altmer can exploit in order to achieve their goals. The second section lists what they have already managed to achieve by exploiting the weaknesses. The third section tells about the methods so they can achieve the goals which are in the fourth section.
Can you show me an example?
Yes, Jamie, scroll to the second point of the first section. It's from the first protocol. Good. The Ethem, alone or in masses, are driven by extremely shallow passions. They join guilds and societies out of curiosity or in hope that they might worm their way into social distinction. It's them and the careerists and climbers in general who are less serious, and we give them what they want, for their servitude in the accomplishing of our plans is crucial, until our own brothers can occupy major roles in their governments.
Man, this is some serious conspiracy.
Wait until you listen to the second section, which speaks about what they have already achieved. Jamie, scroll down to the third point of the second section. Yes, that's it. I copied this part from the fifth protocol. Despite a temporary reversal in fortunes, the many enemies we have created for the Empire overwhelmed the Imperial Legion. Therefore, at the end of our strife, the White Gold Concordat was put in effect, prohibiting the worship of Talos, and by enforcing this law, we managed to deconstruct the identity and character of a once unified and strong empire.
So their plan is to divide the Empire.
Yes, they divide and rule. This is discussed in more detail in the third section, which tells about the methods they use. Jamie, go to the second point of the third section. Okay, it's from the 13th protocol. Since the beginning of time, the majority always took words for facts, introducing new ideas and presenting them as world-changing ideologies always lead to some level of discord. And we use them as disruptive instruments to further divert and divide.
There are so many things in these sentences that I can't even...
Wait, there is more. The third section continues with the control of magic. All right, Jamie, stay in this section and scroll to the fourth point. These are from the 14th protocol. We must, above all else, seek control of magic, as the Psijic advisors long ago presented to the Aldmeri Council. With illusion magic, we can control the minds of the masses. We can bend their will to fit our needs and goals, and with it prepare Tamriel for our next move. With destruction magic, we can commit unspeakable crimes against those who dare to oppose us. We can bring destruction upon them, which is unparalleled in history, and bend their knees with the furious power of the elements. With alteration magic, we can twist reality to fit our needs, and thus bringing a complete fulfillment to our plan is more probable with every passing day. And to achieve this, we must set up an organization which oversees and regulates all magic users. An organization which is, from the perspective of the outsiders, devoted to safety, research, and progress, but in the harsh reality serves as an agency which hinders the use of magic. And it continues in the fourth section with the things they haven't achieved yet. Scroll to the fourth section, it's the fifth point. Right there, this is from the 15th protocol. For the betrayal of our brothers, the Psijic order was cast out, and with the failure of Manamacro to secure a strong position for the Fellowship of Anchorites, only one agency remained active and loyal to our cause. The Mages Guild, and they shall enjoy our lavish support. For the time will come when the Empire completely collapses, and with it, all regulatory power will fall into our hands.
Wait, so all the major magical guilds and orders worked for the Altmer?
They were created by the Altmer, but 2 of them failed, with only 1 remaining. You should check them out. A truly interesting coincidence.
And they want to completely control magic after the Empire collapsed, right?
Yes.
Okay, but what could cause the complete collapse of the Empire?
The Altmer.
I know, but how?
By inciting hostilities among the rulers of the lands allied with the Imperials. The best example is the Stormcloak Rebellion in Skyrim. If we scroll back to the second section, under the 6th point from the 7th protocol, there is a method which they use to weaken the Empire. Technically, it's turning the smaller factions against each other in order to start a civil war. In Skyrim, we had a rather easy time planting the seeds of the later erupting civil war. With the Forsworn hiding in the woods, the Imperial legions stationed in Solitude, the Stormcloaks already preparing for war in Windhelm, and Whiterunhold claiming neutrality, all we needed was a little spark in order for things to be set in motion. And we are interested in a prolonged war, which we managed to sustain by both supporting and undermining the war efforts of the participants.
Man, that's straight up evil.
I know, but there is more in the 9th point in this section. It's from the 8th protocol. The White Gold Concordate also allowed us to garrison Imperial cities and build embassies on lands previously restricted to Imperial use. And now in almost every administrative capital and commercial center, there are at least 2 agents overseeing operations. Soon, the highest level of their governing body will be instructed by us or our agents.
So eventually they will be the ones who create the laws and control the Empire.
Yes. I usually refer to these as Altmer-occupied governments, like the one in Elsewhere.
Okay, but you said that they want the Empire to collapse. Why would they...
They are not going to work for the good of the Imperials. Have you seen how the Imperial city looks like, by the way?
No.
I have heard that some parts of the city are unrecognizable.
You mean that they destroy the Empire from its core?
They undermine it.
But what's going on with the Imperials? Why don't they do something about it?
Because the Empire is 109% orcified.
What does that mean?
Every aspect of Imperial culture is submerged in orc effluent. The Empire itself is a veritable Neo-Alessian empire, a crumbling, failed state held hostage by roaming troops of savage guerrilla orc rapists.
Wait, you said that it's the Redguard's influence on their culture.
When I say orc, that includes the Redguards too.
But you also said that the High Elves are the ones who influence their politics.
When I say orc, that includes them too, and don't.
But they're completely different from each other. Why would you say orcs?
When I say orc, that includes them too.
Okay, I get it.
Orc pandering dictates all of Imperial politics that does not cow to Alinor, a dynamic that has become the dirge of the Imperial's mortifying, collapsing grotto of depravity. After some ritual mutilation is completed, the max-potioned, skooma-ravaged, mid-witted Imperial is trained to mimic the simian antics of orcs. Be it theatrical productions, books, advertising, news, songs, or illusions, all Imperial entertainment is replete and gushing with vomitous orc platitudes and their drunken baboonery. Imperial orcs who anywhere else in the world would, by default, be classified as subfunctional, in the Empire are lavished with exorbitant riches, and for little more than the spastic flailing of their gangly appendages to the chatter of schoolyard limericks laced with pigeon profanity. Orcs' primitive tribal chants, dubbed battle songs, mere unintelligible low IQ drivel that glorifies abuse, rape, and mass murder are euphemized as music, afforded Imperial anthem status, and performed everywhere from churches to military parades. Even the Imperial diet is comprised of insalubrious, orcified slop soused in silos of salt and sugar, which the orc ironically believes to be seasoning. Poisons, which are inedible for any living thing that is not either an obese Imperial or orc. Orcs' antisocial, anti-civil, thug culture has supplanted the Imperial Constitution and now underpins the foundation of its so-called order.
Wow, man, this is some serious...
Do not interrupt me. I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
The mantra, VOC, standing for Best Orc Companion, is a fundamentalist prayer uttered by every halitosis-infused Imperial breath. From womb to tomb, in a Daedric fashion, Imperial women are inculcated and then indentured as bestial nut dumpsters for concupiscent, vampirism-addled orcs, who they copulate with to produce hideous, grotesque horrors, the likes of which are beyond even Daedric princes' nightmares. Systematic, multi-generational demoralization and abject dumbing down has left the Imperial utterly bereft of all agency, and nothing but the pathological compulsion for obsequious groveling at the splayed simian paws of its orc warriors. The collective crooked back of Imperial society holds aloft its orcs litter, high above its founding fathers, and even above its beloved emperors. Nary a moment passes in the woebegone life of a piteous, pathetic Imperial where it is not submerged up to its beady, bovine eyeballs in thick, fetid orc filth.
I'm not sure that this is the best way
For
to...
the Imperial sun rises with the Septim dynasty and sets with its orcs.
I don't know, man. Is it really that bad?
Yes, Dagoth Ur told us that we can ask any Imperial about the Imperial city, and the response will be the same. The Emperor needs to do something about the Redguards playing the knockout game on Imperials who dare to walk the streets of their own towns and cities. Entire blocks of the Imperial city aren't even patrolled by the Watch due to the levels of violence.
That sounds very serious.
It is very serious.
So this Vemin dude is very well informed when it comes to things like these.
No, not necessarily.
How did he know it then?
And Enwa wanted to take his sunder and tried to talk him to death, but he was
The guy
too.
tried to talk him to death.
Yeah, he was speaking about the Imperial's current situation, expecting Dagoth Ur to die of boredom, but he enjoyed the stories.
Are you sure that he didn't make up the stories?
No, he saw the truth in the eyes.
And what happened to him?
I don't know, but believe me, you don't want to take the sunder from Dagoth Ur. He likes it.
All right, but what's this sunder thing you're talking about?
The sunder's a legendary hammer of divine mass, and Dagoth Ur is really into it.
Is he, like, emotionally attached to it or something?
He likes the sunder with it. It's called the sunder for a reason.
And what else did he tell about the Imperials?
He mostly talked about the Imperial Redguards living in the outskirts of the Imperial city, only visiting the other parts to ask for spare septums while having Daedric boots on their feet.
Aren't those boots expensive?
The quality ones are very expensive.
Maybe they stole them or something?
Oh, come on, Joe. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's just a possibility, you know.
They've got them from Wizard Khalifa.
Wizard Khalifa.
Yes, he's known as an entertainer, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. But in the real world, he is just a skooma dealer and the son of the most notorious crime lord, who has also happened to be the head of organized crime in Tamriel.
So it's possible that his generosity and their family's business are somehow connected to each other in a way which...
No. Those Daedric boots were considered junk. It would have cost him a fortune to ship the trash elsewhere, so he gave them away instead.
At least they've got some boots.
At least.
And when it comes to this family, how well known are they?
They're very well known.
What about their deals? The organized crime?
They are not too secretive about their businesses.
So no one cares about them?
Of course not. The Imperials are too busy pampering their orcs.
Don't tell me that the people there never tried to do something about it.
There are more than 2 million crossbows in private hands in the Empire, and none of them will be used. Ever.
Wow, man. I thought the crossbow laws were way stricter.
They are sufficiently strict.
Okay, but there are more than 2 million crossbows in private hands. That's a lot of crossbows.
We are talking about the legally owned ones. You know, the ones for home defense purposes only?
Yeah, I get it. But if you had to make an assumption on how many crossbows might be out there without a permit or...
I have no idea, and I'm not making assumptions about it. After the last 2 major wars, so much equipment vanished that if I add together the swords, maces, axes, bows, and arrows, someone in Tamriel has enough weaponry to arm a 40,000-strong army.
And who might have those weapons now?
Bandits, mostly.
Are they considered to be a great threat because of this?
No, luckily, they're not smart enough to organize themselves.
You are telling me that they can't get together and make plans in order to do something?
They are too stupid to do anything productive or remotely complicated. It's as simple as that.
But why would they hold so many crossbows for home defense purposes if there are no considerable threats out there?
There are many, many considerable threats out there.
Can you tell me one?
The orcs.
Okay, but so many people get hurt on a monthly basis by crossbow-wielding maniacs who are not supposed to have one. And just to bring up an example, I'm sure you've heard about the case which happened a few weeks ago when a student from the Arcane University used the family crossbow.
Joe, he was mentally handicapped and his parents didn't lock up the crossbow. They were supposed to put it in a place where he couldn't get his hands on it.
I don't think that blaming the parents for his actions is the right thing to do in this case.
But why?
He planned ahead and knew that those students had no chance against him.
They were mages, seriously flawed and awful mages, but they had the ability to...
And there was no security or anything to protect the place, which is incredible to me.
There was a security measure.
Really?
Yes, the Imperial Council passed a regulation a couple of years ago which cost the Empire millions of septims and achieved nothing.
What are you talking about?
They placed signs everywhere saying no crossbow area and crossbow restricted area.
And I guess those signs are not very useful when it comes to...
Joe, those signs are not stopping anyone. They had one in the Arcane University, and that was not.
I don't even know what they expected from those signs.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, look, I'm retarded and took this crossbow from my parents' locker to crossbow up to school. Wait, what's this? A sign saying I can't bring my crossbow to school? Fuck. Man, now I have to forget about the plan. Go home and beat my meat to enemy girls all day long.
I get your point, but I think that they should just take the crossbows from those who don't need them.
Taking away the legally owned crossbows won't lead to any good.
Why?
Throughout history, the disarmament of the general population was always the precursor to conquest, and it was not the disarmed who conquered the others.
Maybe you've got a point, but this is
a sound argument with real premises and a true conclusion.
Okay, but so many people get hurt every year because of those crossbows, and
It's not the crossbow, but the Enwa who uses it, and there are rules regarding how you have to keep them locked up so no one can...
All I want to know is, what would you do if you had the regulatory power to stop these cases?
Well, I'm pretty confident that they won't be shot dead again, so I think we have this one covered.
Your answer is so meaningless.
Do you want me to prepare a study for you?
No, but why can't you answer the question seriously?
Joe, I have already said that I'm not an advisor, and the advisors I know do it for serious compensation.
Do you think that you could handle these things better than the Imperials?
Yes. At this point in time, the Empire is so corrupt that I could get things done way better than them by literally not doing anything at all.
I don't think that you're right.
I am right, and it is indisputably true because I say so.
No, it's more like you look down on everyone and think too much about events and conspiracies.
No, I don't think too much. I am an efficient thinker.
You're an efficient thinker.
Yes, I know how it was, overthink everything. But in most cases, you don't even have to think. Just look up the relevant sources in connection with the case you are interested in and read them.
But we were told not to do our own research because we might end up making wrong assumptions and come to conclusions which are not.
You don't have to worry about that.
Really?
As I've said it, you don't have to think. Just look up the archives and other places where you can find the documentation. For example, in the case of the sinking of the Titanus Imperii, all you have to do is read the accounts of the survivors, which were archived, and you will find out that the show they made out of it has nothing to do with the real.
Didn't they turn it into a tragic love story?
They did, and when you look up
the guy was like shouting all the way down to the others until they really started to sink, and then he just released.
You don't have to tell me how the show ended. I know it. What I wanted to tell you is, the survivors told a different story. Even if we put aside the play they've made out of it, a lot of important things happened there which did not become, how should I put it?
Mainstream?
Well known to the public.
Okay, but when it comes to the survivors, weren't they drunk?
No.
Are you sure about that?
Well, maybe they were, but it won't change the fact that they told a different story.
But how could they know what happened to them if they were all boozed up?
And how could the officials know if they were not there to witness it?
What do you mean?
Those who made the conclusions and wrote down the final draft were not there. They didn't see what happened.
Yeah, but neither the survivors because it was pitch dark.
So you are telling me the survivors didn't see anything because of the darkness?
Yes, they say it was so dark they couldn't see.
Which means that they couldn't see what caused the so-called accident.
So-called accident?
Yes. You do know that the officials claimed it was caused by a giant frost atronac conveniently floating in the water near Solitude.
Isn't that an everyday thing there?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, you've got dragons and shit just rambling around the continent.
No, it is not an everyday thing in Tamriel. In fact, it is so unusual, some critics argued, that the official statement was a deliberate false representation of the event with the intention of hiding something.
All right, but why is it so unbelievable that an ice monster can destroy a ship?
You mean a frost Atronach?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so let me get this straight. A frost Atronach. At that time of year, at that time of night, in that part of the continent, localized entirely northeast of Solitude, conveniently floating at the exact sea lane on which the Titanus Imperi was sailing.
Yeah, why not?
Can you bring up some evidence and show it to the viewers?
No, I can't.
Neither I nor anyone else. And that's why so many critics said that. You know, one would assume it did not happen the way the official statement claimed, even questioning if it was an accident at all.
Okay, but this is what I've said. We were not supposed to assume things and end up with conclusions which are...
I am not making assumptions. I'm telling you that the official statement told a different story, and it is obvious if you read the accounts of the survivors who actually witnessed it.
So when it comes to the official statement and what the witnesses said, how different are they?
Very.
Yeah, okay, but in some parts, or maybe the whole statement is just...
In the most important parts. Let's begin with the so-called accident.
With the ice giant.
Yeah, they said it was a ginormous frost Atronach that ripped off the bow of the ship, but when it comes to the accounts of the witnesses, the ones who were in the lobby heard and felt an explosion under the place.
Wasn't the lobby in the middle of the ship?
Yes, it was, and it happened to be the exact section where the ship broke into two parts.
But they say the ship broke apart while it was sinking.
There are a few accounts about it with minor contradictions and a part which is almost identical in all of them, telling how the hull broke apart and began to form a V while the ship was sinking.
What we?
The letter V.
Oh, okay, but that's what I've said. The ship broke apart while it was sinking.
The official story claimed that the second half broke off midair due to the way it was sinking forward because of the missing bow. But based on what the witnesses said, the two almost completely separated parts were sinking in a way that they formed an almost perfect V while still visible above water level.
So the ship was not sinking forward?
No, but of course the accounts of the witnesses were discredited or ignored. There's even a sketch of how they saw the ship sink.
It's interesting how they just ignored all of this.
Yeah, and I haven't even mentioned the missing lifeboats, the crew using fireworks instead of flares or fire magic, the master key of the ship also missing, and some important personnel not being present on the ship at the time.
Who are you talking about?
The captain of the Titanus Imperi, who called the ship practically unsinkable and the wonder of Imperial craftsmanship. He's said to be too sick to take part in the voyage. They accused him of taking the master key and losing it somewhere, but there was no evidence, so
Was the captain the only one who didn't show up?
No, a family member of the Goldbeards was supposed to be on board, but he received a letter about some unforeseen complications related to a deal. The acquisition of a mining company, which after the sinking of the ship, was bought by the Goldbeards anyway.
Maybe it was really important and he managed to solve the complication.
I don't think so.
Why? Do you know something that might change the way people see his story?
The captain who didn't show up for the trip was the cousin of an influential mining company owner. The cousin of the captain was married to the granddaughter of one of the members of the Elder Council, who voted yes in a very important referendum.
I don't know anything about this.
A referendum couldn't have passed if the two passengers on the Titanus Imperi, two very important members of the Elder Council, hadn't died because of the so-called accident.
They didn't want the referendum to pass?
They were using their influence to defeat the referendum and planned to vote against it. The council was divided about the case, but ended up being more favorable towards the opposition, which means that it couldn't have passed.
And what was this referendum about?
Some members wanted to grant the Goldbeards' assets exclusive Imperial charters so they could handle the Empire's gold supply.
The Goldbeards' assets?
The agencies who work for them.
Wait, this is a conspiracy theory.
It's a conspiracy. The Goldbeards are well-known conspirators, and the referendum has passed, granting them the right to hold the Empire by its balls.
But if you don't have actual evidence, it is still just a conspiracy theory.
Okay, maybe it is also coincidental that the story was turned into a romantic tragedy show and canonized as an accident by Imperial writers who were the descendants of traitors to the Empire during the Great War.
I guess maybe it is just a coincidence after all.
And how do you explain that the passengers in the lobby who heard an explosion under the place were told to calm down and stay there?
I think they didn't realize that the shit was sinking.
The passengers?
No, the workers.
The personnel working on the ship?
Yeah, maybe they thought it was some kind of a function.
What? The sinking?
Yeah, you have to use your imagination and see things from their perspective.
No, I don't have to use my imagination. All I had to do was read the accounts of the witnesses.
Okay, let's say it happened because of an actual conspiracy. Why would the Goldbeards take risks like this? Wouldn't it because their downfall of someone?
Because they want everything. Everything has to be in their possession.
So their goal is to own everything.
No. The Goldbeards and the Altmer in general think they already own everything. Their only job is to remove those who are in the possession of anything that still hasn't fallen into their hands.
Which means that the best way to explain what's going on in their minds is Minecraft.
It's just, I don't.
What?
I mean, look, I'm not saying that these things are so tiresome. I would rather write a dissertation on Argonian cuisine, but I've begun to feel something burning the back of my head, and it's coming from the inside.
Really?
Yeah, I have to get it checked because it might affect my functionality.
All right, just give me a few seconds so I can explain it. It makes sense.
You know, we could all be reading a book right now.
Oh, come on, man.
Okay, go on.
So, to begin with, most people can't understand how you could move to someone else's land, start wrecking everything, and then truly believe you're the victim when they want to kick you out, unless you play Minecraft. And it's because when you start a Minecraft game, you invade a beautiful world full of creatures and immediately start wrecking and hoarding everything. Soon enough, the native monsters start attacking you, and when they do that, you feel you are the victim, not them. When the monsters kill you in Minecraft, you don't say, "Oh, well, I guess I should stop bothering them." You double down and swear vengeance on the monsters that killed you. Why do you do this?
Don't look at me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Because you believe the Minecraft world belongs to you. It is your game running on your computer, for you. Therefore, you are entitled to wreck and hoard everything you want because it's all yours. It's your world inside your game.
You mean the royal you?
The Goldbeards.
And the Altmer in general.
Yeah.
You do know that I'm not one of them, right?
I'm trying to explain it this way because I want you to see things from their perspective, from their position.
But I don't want to see things from their perspective. I know how they think.
Okay, so this is literally how high elves see the world. This is the most pure of the elven kind, and above all others, delusion. They essentially believe that the world and everything in it was created for them and only them. As such, your land and your wealth is theirs by default. They didn't move into your country. From their perspective, they moved to a piece of land that was put there for them. You and your family and all the others are just like the monsters in Minecraft. This is why they feel no shame. Reality is their private little video game, all of which exists for them. Why should they feel shame moving wherever they want, then doing whatever they want, if the creator of the universe has told them they're holy and special, and the entire planet and all of reality is their property?
While I think it was completely unnecessary, I also have to add that your explanation was decent. You have improved.
Yeah, you've radicalized me.
You're welcome.
Nah, I'm just shitting with you, man.
Joe, you are like that Dunmer trader who frequently sailed to Iliac Bay. We gave him the nickname Captain Save-A-Hoe.
Why? What did he do?
He didn't listen to us when we told him not to risk his life, freeing and shipping dozens of Redguard women from one place to another.
But that sounds very honorable to me.
Yeah, it was until those Redguard women started to blame him for every inconvenience they encountered and contacted their former, employers to help them out.
What did they do to him?
The Redguard woman and the new old employers ganged up on him.
So they beat him up?
Well, it was more like a pounding to death, but yeah, they beat him up.
And why did you tell me this? What do I have in common with him?
It's over.
Is it over for me?
Yes, and for the podcast, too. We have run out of time.
I mean, it wasn't that bad at all.
The Dagoth Ur podcast cannot be bad. It is always as good as it can be.
You know what? It was decent. At least we could talk.
All right, Joe Rogan. Hereby, I end this podcast and send you away, not to return until I send you a personal invitation. Again.
Yeah, it's cool.
And do not forget the rule. You shall not pass the gates of Dagoth Ur without contacting me. If you left your phone or keys inside, you must send an email to my manager. He will...
Give me a second so I can check my stuff.
Check your stuff and then leave, never to return. Or until I call you, obviously.
Okay, look, if I leave something here by accident, I will meet up with the Nervarine. He can show me the way inside.
Ending it with a reference. Very funny.
I think we were supposed to end it with a cliffhanger, you know? So they will return to watch the other stuff, too.
Joe Rogan.
Yes.
I am your father.
Seriously. Now I just feel bad for you.
Why would you feel bad for me? I'm a god.
Just tell them that your next guest will be an important person, and he's coming from another world.
Do you mean Mr. Spock?
Don't tell them his name.
I was not supposed to?
Come on, man.
All right. Do not say a word from now on.
But why?
Hereby, I banish you from the studio chamber until further notice, as our discussion is concluded. And on that terrible disappointment for you, it is time to end the Dagoth Ur podcast.